700. 700, a milestone last night. Welcome into the program. Bill Michaels Show on a Wednesday. Packers back in the practice field, but 700 last night for Craig Counsel. His 700th career win as the Brewers manager. And congratulations go out to him for that accomplishment. And in doing so, you wake up this morning and you click on the standings for the National League, and you look down to the Central and you see the E next to the word St. Louis Cardinals. They have been officially, after last night's loss, eliminated from any postseason hope. I like that. Love it. Love it. Welcome into the program, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can hit us up on Twitter. Smash us there. Actually at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. Wisco Grant, if you want to get a hold of Grant Bills. The Bill Michaels Show on Instagram. The Bill Michaels Show. Same thing on Facebook, facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. Like us on YouTube. YouTube has grown. Very quietly, I look over and I see, 5 and 6 and 10 people a day are starting to find us on the continuum. And that's awesome. We want to grow the YouTube channel exponentially. So if you haven't liked us there or haven't subscribed there or followed us there or what have you, please, if you would, go ahead and do so. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. It's that simple. And you can find us over on YouTube. Same thing on Twitch TV and on Kick TV. If you have those apps on your phone, you can find us there. Email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, thebillmichaels.com, which is hosted by our friends. They're our flagship station out in Madison, The Zone Madison. And then, obviously, you can track us down on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and such after the fact. So there you go. 700 wins for Craig Counsel. Boy, I got to be honest. I yesterday coming into the program, I knew he was sitting on 699. It completely escaped me during our conversations yesterday. So when I started watching the game last night and they were talking about it, I thought, boy, we didn't even touch on this. So good to see him get that win. Good to see him do it and then eliminate the St. Louis Cardinals along the way. I proclaim them the National League Central champions by far. With the games remaining and such, the Cubs are not going to catch them. It's over. And they got 11 games remaining, 2 against St. Louis. I know they have Miami, 3 against Miami, 3 against St. Louis, and then they rounded out with 3 against the Cubs. The Brewers, 85-66. They've got a 6-game lead over the Cubs. It's done. It's over. It has been for a while. Milwaukee, the third best division leader in National League, meaning that, yes, indeed, they will host the best of 3 in a National League wild card series against the final wild card entrant, and that starts on October 3rd. The magic number right now for the Brewers, we know, is 6, but it's done. It's a done deal. It is what it is. So good stuff there. I anticipate today. I woke up today. I didn't sleep well last night. I feel good today, but I didn't sleep well last night. I woke up at about 2:30. I just couldn't fall back to sleep. So you know how it is. You start scrolling on your phone and such. And I'm reading all these different articles, and I'm excited today. You know why? Because I'm hoping today brings clarification, and I'm hoping that we find out, on one hand, something that we didn't want to know and didn't want to happen, and that be that the knee of David Bakhtiari really is inflamed and or needed to be drained or what have you. And I'm hoping that that's not going to be problematic all season long. However, you're kind of hoping that because you don't want to have David stand before the cameras and say, I'm not playing on turf fields, and set that horrible precedent inside that locker room. So I'm hoping today, I'm anticipating today, I'm excited for today for clarification as the Packers get back on the practice field a little bit later on this afternoon. So we'll have our guy Mike Clemens on the ground inside Lambeau Field. We also have our huddle coming up tonight. The huddle this evening going to take place, so I'm looking forward to that. We've got another action-packed huddle this evening as we start to break down going into week 3. By the way, and I never checked on this, so we now bring in Grant Bills producing the program. Grant, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Bill. Brewers got back on track last night, so I went to bed happy.
Okay, so my next question to you is the record from last week as we made our picks. I think I did pretty well. Do you have?
You did pretty well. I don't have the record in front of me, and I'll get that ready for at least later in the show or for tonight. But I think you did a lot better than me, if I remember correctly.
I think I did pretty well. I started watching this and watching the point spreads, and we were going through that, and I think it worked out pretty nicely, as a matter of fact. So I think last week only reason I know that is because I actually I did go into a little bit of a pool with some friends, and I made some money last week. Basically enough money that paid for my trip to go to Tomahawk and the money I spent on a couple of dinners. So it wasn't, thousands, but it was enough to pay for a couple of dinners and a few beverages. So I was pretty happy about that. So I'm looking forward.
Well, after what happened in your guillotine league week 1, I feel like you have some good luck coming your way.
Did you see Travis Kelce and T. Higgins both went off over the weekend?
Of course they did.
There was so many points there. It was so painful to watch. So painful to watch. I just couldn't believe it. But yeah, so my 2 key contributors didn't do jack in week 1. Travis Kelce missing, T. Higgins and Joe Burrow not connecting at all. And a lot of the guys that I had as scorers that had a pretty solid football team in fantasy in 1 week just went completely right down the tubes. And I got eliminated. This week, I would have been one of the top scorers in the league. I just, man, you talk about just terrible, terrible luck. So anyway, but are you excited today to see if Bakhtiari speaks?
Yeah, I'm dreading it a little bit. I like that my show is at 4:00 because we can react then to whatever the players or whatever the coaches said. And we were all waiting on Monday, Bill, to hear what LaFleur said, because you knew the first question he was going to get was going to be about Bakhtiari.
Right.
So I like the buildup. I like the suspense of maybe what's going to happen this afternoon when players speak to the media.
Yeah, I am. I think at this point, LaFleur is not going to talk about it. He's going to let Bakhtiari speak for himself. And I was presented this morning. I was on with our buddy Ernie over at WVRQ this morning. I did some stuff with him, but I was up this morning and I was kind of reading, and I had a couple of people that were asking me questions about it. And I was presented with this scenario. So what if Bakhtiari, who has never shied away from a microphone, and I don't mean that as a media hog or anything. I just mean it as if he's been asked a question, he's always answered it honestly. What if he stands up and says today, I told you, the knee's fine. I'm not playing on turf. I think turf is bad. I think it would hurt me. I just don't want to do it. I think turf games are, blah, blah, blah. What if he says that today? Then what? Does that make, and again, it's a complete hypothetical, but I was asked that question. What if he stands up and he says, I'm not playing on a turf field. I got a bad knee. I'm trying to preserve it. I'm not going to do it. And what if he says that today? And my first reaction was, well, then you got a real problem, either with the head coach or the general manager or whatever, because you got a healthy guy telling you, for the most part, I'm not playing. What do you do? Because that'd be a horrible precedent. Now there has to be a response. There has to be something. And the Packers have already been labeled as a franchise that treats their veteran players poorly and treats them like meat and commodities and all the stuff that Aaron Rodgers spewed years ago. The spotlight is still there. Everybody feels like this relationship between Aaron Rodgers after the Rodgers PR piece on Hard Knocks made him seem like an altar boy. And he, as Aaron Andrews put it, you are now America's darling, which I thought wanted to make me puke. But you're already in this bad light. Now what do you do? And at some point I thought to myself, you know what? You got to say, who cares? This is the Green Bay Packers. This is not the David Bakhtiaris or the Aaron Rodgerses or anybody else. This is a football team. And the crap is done. And you take it back over and you say, okay, we're done. You're going to sit out. You're not getting paid. Talk to you later. I mean, I don't know what else to do, because I mean, I guess in a day and age in which you got to take players into consideration, I get it. But for the most part, man, what happens if he says that? Because he then just throws everybody in management under the bus by saying, I'll do what I want to do, and you're not going to tell me anything. That would be insightful. That's why I'm hoping he says, no, it really flared up on Friday and it got swollen and I had to get it drained on Sunday morning. And, that's the reason I called, Lucas Patrick and said, hey, dude, you're going to have to start because I can't. And, I'm hoping he says that. I'm hoping that's what it is. But I can't imagine him saying that's what it is when in reality it's not. And basically saying that to the media, but everybody behind closed doors knows that that's not it, or that's a different issue or something. I don't know. There's a lot of different scenarios there. And I hope that he just says, hey, the knee got really swollen. I've had some issues. I don't want to, risk it. And I just told Lucas I can't go, turf or not. I just couldn't go, even if it was back at home on Sunday. So I'm hoping that's what he says.
I don't understand why Matt LaFleur just didn't say that Sunday, if that's what happened after the game. I know he was frustrated. I know it was a loss, but just say, yeah, his knee flared up. It sucks. We're not happy about it, but there's nothing he can do. So we had to make the call this morning. Why didn't he just say that? He got all mad and he was all cryptic about it.
Yeah. And again, I went back. I know it's stupid. These are the things that I do when I can't sleep. I went back and started because Mike sends, Mike Clemens sends us everything via email. So I click it on my phone and I listen to it. And I sat there with my earpiece in last night and I'm listening to the postgame presser. And he went over Aaron Jones and talked about when Aaron could possibly come back. And he talked about, Lucas Van Ness. And then he talked about, Elton Jenkins and the knee. And then, we're going to get it, kind of looked at on Monday. And we don't know to what extent. And, there's some concern there. It doesn't seem to be, real serious, but we're hoping he's going to be okay. And very calm. And then he just goes off on the Bakhtiari thing. And it's the more I listen to it, the weirder it is. Now, and PacFan brings it up, he says, why would he say that? Then the team could file a grievance against him. Because Bakhtiari has never been a liar. He's always been a guy that he reminds me very much of in the movie A Few Good Men, when Jack Nicholson's sitting in the witness stand and Tom Cruise says, I know he wants to say it. He wants to tell the world, you're not going to tell me how to be. You're not going to tell me how to run my unit. Because Bakhtiari's that guy. He wants to say it. He wants to say he's not going to lie to you. If he says, hey, I didn't want to risk it. I'm not playing on turf. He could say that and then want to be the poster child for, I'm going to start standing up to the NFL for these turf fields and then draw a lot of attention to that. And be the martyr for that cause. Now, it ultimately costs him money. And then don't forget, you could possibly be playing for a contract come next season. So what team's going to want to take you if you're not going to play on turf? That pretty much eliminates the Jets from picking you up. But maybe he wants to do that. Who knows? But again, I am sitting here today telling you that I'm hoping he just says the knee got really swollen and, it became a concern and we just got to watch it now, that type of thing. I'm hoping that's what happens. So, and I'm probably 90% sure that's what's going to happen, but I just still don't understand why Matt LaFleur got so bent out of shape about the questions. That just, I can't fathom that. So anyway, let's do this. We're going to step out, take a quick break. We got Mark Schofield today from SB Nation. He joins us every Wednesday. We're hoping to hear from Mike Clemens from Inside the Locker Room coming up a little bit later on today as well. So we got all kinds of good stuff on the horizon. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there, Burn Pit Barbecue, burnpitbbq.com. Going to have some of that in between shows today. burnpitbbq.com. burnpitbbq.com. And you can check it out because it is so good. Good stuff from Burn Pit, whether it's the sauces or the rubs or the hot sauces that they have, but they are veteran owned. They're based in Racine, Wisconsin. Every time I see the guys, Greg and Ben and them, they always say, hey, people come up to us all the time and say they heard about it on the Bill Michaels show, which is fantastic. Keep telling them that because I love it. But the fact that they're one of the better veteran-owned companies in the country and based right here in the state of Wisconsin is fantastic. Again, burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
What advice would you give somebody that that's window shopping?
I'd have to say Pella Windows and Doors in Wisconsin plays at an MVP level in the replacement game. They came in ahead of time, measured all the windows, made sure they had all of the measurements. When the Pella people left, you had no idea they had been here. You just had the new window. They're great professionals, Gina, and some of the best in the world at what they do.
Right now, pay as low as $19 a month per window or $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today. Pella's team of expert installers start with an in-home consultation and finish with no hassle or mess. leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, pay as low as $19 per window and $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today.
$6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offers end 9/30/2023.
Buckle up. It's all systems go at Potawatomi. Plug in to high wattage play and you could win an all-electric BMW i7. Play now through September with your club card. Prize drawings on Thursdays. There's a shocking $800,000 in total prizes on the line, including the luxury BMW i7. It's time to electrify your drive. Only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. More info at paysbig.com/BMW. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Bill Michaels Show. Rocking on. Boy, the weather's going to be a little bit better today. Up near 80 inland today. And all throughout the state of Wisconsin, unless, of course, you're over there by Lake Michigan. But today's one of those days where if you're going to maybe watch a little Brewers baseball, Sunset Grill, Pewaukee Lake, great place to go, good food, and it's going to be warmer. It's going to be up around 80-something, 81 maybe, between 75, 80, 81, 82. And you can head over to the Sunset Grill, sit on the deck, sit down below on the patio, down by the water where the boats come in. Great place. And right there on Prospect Avenue in Pewaukee. Tell them all we said hi. And they've done such a great job over there. and expanding that patio area, building that stage for the outside bands to play on and such. It's just such a cool place. At Sunset Grill in Pewaukee. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. We hope to find out a little bit later on today about all the injury situation, not just about David Bakhtiari, but Lucas Van Ness. Looking to find out more about Christian Watson, Aaron Jones. Got into discussion today as well, speaking of that, about A.J. Dillon. And I had a question was, what is it about A.J. Dillon that right now it's just, he's just not getting the job done? I'll be honest, he just looks a step slow. For all the talk, I mean, I get into it too. You try to get real technical, right? You try to say, well, his pad level's too high. He's not high kneeing it. He's not going through the hole, hitting it hard enough and blah, blah, blah. And I went back and I started watching. Last night was when the All-22 comes out. And I started watching it. And you turn on a clip of Aaron Jones versus A.J. Dillon and watch how fast Aaron Jones hits the hole and takes the ball and off and running versus A.J. Dillon. It's just slow. It's a slow process. And I don't know what it is. This is the reason running backs are devalued, okay? Because at some point, whether it's first year, third year, fifth year, eighth year, whatever, at some point, the majority, it's the rule rather than the exception. At some point, running backs just lose that gear. It's just gone, and they can't get it back. They don't know why. They just can't. You can have A.J. Dillon's wife say, hey, you're not running the same way you did at Boston College. Yeah. If you go back and you watch A.J. Dillon in his first year, he had a hard, fast gear. And he just doesn't anymore. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's he got too muscular, too much into the quadzilla thing. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But he just doesn't have that same gear. So for as much as, is he going to rip off some runs every now and then? Yeah. You're never going to be completely dead, so to speak. But when it comes to productivity, but he just lost his gear. Doesn't have it. And if you look at the difference, you put them side by side, the difference between Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, it's remarkable. It's by a second. It's not by a little. It's not by like a split second. It's like a second. And a second in the National Football League is an eternity. And he just lost his gear. So if I'm the Packers, yeah, I'm probably looking around to see if I can't find somebody else to tote the rock a little bit. If Aaron Jones is not going to be available for a while, or if this hamstring thing that you believe is minor, if it turns out to be problematic, maybe you start pounding the pavement a little bit more to bring somebody in. But and that's not a great defense. Atlanta's good; they're not great. So you talk about putting him up against a really elite defense, and that ain't happening. Not happening at all. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Thomas says the run blocking not great, but AJ's just slow. He used to break through the line. Not anymore. Jack says, I'm anxious to hear what Bakhtiari has to say. Do you really think that he'll admit he doesn't want to play on turf? No, I'm hoping that he's going to say the knee got swollen. I had to, it was uncomfortable. I was having some problems with it, coming out of the game on Sunday or something to that effect. I have no idea. But I hope that's what we hear. Because if he stands up and he says, no, I'm not going to play on turf fields, then it opens a whole different can of worms. This is from Mark, who says, hey guys, great show. Love listening to all the Packers talk every day. I'm down here in North Carolina. How's the weather there? The weather, like I said, going to be in the 80s over the weekend. But when you get to Sunday, I think it's going to cool off a little bit, but should be pretty nice. He says, looking at this team, I think they're a team that's a work in progress. There's a few holes they need to fill yet, but I think defensively speaking, the question marks seem to come from Joe Barry in the schematic calls or the will to want to. We all know playing defense is a want-to element in the sport. You have to have the tenacity to do so. After seeing some of the highlight reels over the last 24 hours of this Packers tackling defense. It's pretty poor. Who do you blame that on? When you look at what Andy Herman posted yesterday about Jair Alexander, I'd blame that on Jair. That's on Jair. That was embarrassing. I don't see a lot of that, to be honest with you. I think what coaches need to do is put players in the position to make plays. Put them into that. That's why with the whole thing with Joe Barry, the angst against Joe Barry, I've never been a Joe Barry fan, but I've given him the benefit of the doubt. And in this particular case, I think playing soft coverages and soft defense, specifically up the middle when you're getting gashed via the run, is the wrong philosophical thing to do. However, Quay Walker and Jair Alexander both were in the right place at the right time to make plays, and they didn't. You know, there's an element of the players have to take responsibility, because the majority of what is called is normally will work. Nobody calls a play to fail. And if it's executed properly, usually it works. So for as much as we want to jump on the Joe Barry, I can't stand you bandwagon, and philosophically, I don't believe in playing a lot of soft cushion and also moving away from a nose tackle when you're getting gashed up the gut in the run game. That's beyond belief to me. However, it's not all on Joe Barry, because when you go back and watch that game, you see there were some broken tackles, but you also see guys just getting locked up. Guys in the wrong situation. Go back to the discussion with Rashawn regarding Rashawn Gary. If he just sets the edge rather than crashing so hard, Ritter never gets on the outside and scores. That was a play designed to stop the outside run. So those are at least 3 examples that were game-changing plays. And that wasn't Joe Barry's fault. So part of it, I agree with you. And thanks for listening to us down in North Carolina. Also, we've got some people in Fort Lauderdale. That's not Joe Barry's fault. That you're right. Defense, much like special teams, is a will. You have to have the will to go run through someone. You know, you want to watch a defense. Now, granted, they got a ton of talent, but you want to watch a defense that's now salivating. They can't wait to rip your head off. Go watch Dallas. Go watch Micah Parsons. He's a special talent. I know that. Okay. But that's what you should aspire to be. That's what you want. And you should aspire to be that tenacious, that into it, that energized. Now, when you have that kind of talent, you're having that kind of success. Absolutely. It's easy, but that's what you should aspire to be. Brandon says they have a lot of talent on the Green Bay Packers on offense and defense, but they ain't got the experience yet, and that's what they need. Yeah, you can see some guys were playing a little tentative. Defensively, though, that's no. You got second-year guys that you're kind of relying upon, but you've got, Jair's a veteran. He's one of the highest-paid corners in the league. He did not have a good game. You got Preston Smith. You got Kenny Clark. You got Devondre Campbell. You've got veteran guys that have been there, done that. Darnell Savage has been around a while. At what point do you consider yourself a veteran? Year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5? At what point are you a veteran? Most careers are 3.5 years in the league, 4 years in the league max on average. So, you're a veteran after year 1. So I look at Wyatt, I look at Quay Walker. They both took steps forward. I like what they have, but you've got some now offensively. You got a veteran offensive line, man. Zach Tom's your only real young guy. He's a second-year guy. But how long has Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon been around? You've got 3 years now of your quarterback. who still doesn't even understand something simple as terminology. He called the wrong call on a 4th down. That can't happen. You've got a coach that can't figure out that you're running out of time on a field goal, and they take a delay of game penalty. These are all self-inflicted wounds that have nothing to do with being young. It's poor situational football. And that's what cost. That's the reason so many people were so upset and so pissed off on Sunday. It's not because had they got their asses whipped, you can kind of live with that. You kind of go, oh, God, what a bad game. They'll get back at it. Were they exposed or not? We got a lot to talk about. But this was an angering game because that was a game you could have won. You could be right now sitting there at 2-0, atop the division, with New Orleans coming to town for your home opener. You should have been. And you pissed away a 12-point lead in the 4th quarter because of your own ineptitude. And you look at all the things that you did wrong that had you done any one of those things correctly, you kick the field goal, you don't take the delay of game penalty, you win the game. You kick the field goal from 56 yards. If it's anything like it was last week in Chicago, you win the game. You set the edge and don't let Ritter get into the end zone. You win the game. You pick off Ritter on not one, but 2 of those opportunities. You win the game. I mean, all of that comes into play. Those moments in time cost you a ball game. 877-867-1670. Hey, don't forget about our buddy Scott Ellis at Homeside Financial. Really good guy. And he's got this thing called the 2-1 buy down. And again, I don't get into the details of what it is because that's not my business. But what it does, it gives you the opportunity right now to either get a mortgage, refinance a mortgage, get a new house at a lower interest rate, lower than what prime is. And you can pay that down and then you can refinance down the road. And there's so many good things that they do. And all you got to do is get a hold of them. 414-791-7771. If you're considering a new home, if you're considering selling yours and buying another home, or maybe you're talking about refinancing your home at this point, pulling some of the equity out of it while the property values are still high. And that's recommended, by the way. Do it. 414-791-7771. 414-791-7771. Anywhere in the state of Wisconsin, get a hold of our buddy Scott Ellis.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Some spots open on the bus for this weekend. Steady, second to National Walker's Point, America's best sports bar. Great Bloody Marys. If you're going to be heading up on the Packer bus coming up this weekend, they're going to have that bus full of Bloody Marys. So that's the way to go. If you're thinking about getting out of the area, whether it's Racine, Kenosha, Waukesha, hell, even if you're coming over from Madison, stop at Stenny's, get your tickets. They have tickets available and room on the bus. They take you up, they bring you back, all that kind of good stuff to the Packer Saints game this coming weekend. That's our friends at Stenny, second to National Walker's Point. As they say, you should be here. Good stuff. Thanks to our friends at Stenny's for being a big part of the program. Have been for a while. Got a lot to get to and also phone calls to get to. Let's get to the phones, as a matter of fact. So let's check in with Matt listening to us in Menominee. Matt, how you doing today? What's going on, man?
Hey, Bill, I'm doing great. Hey, listen, I'm just thinking about this David Bakhtiari situation and wondering, is it possible or probable that he may be saving himself, so to speak? We know he's done in Green Bay after this year. He knows that. Is there a potential that he's saving himself for either an Aaron Rodgers reunion or another team for a longer-term contract after he's done with the Packers, that he will play on turf? He just knows his time in Green Bay is over. Is that a possibility? I'll hang up and listen to your response.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Your gut reaction is to say, oh, yeah, he wants to make sure he's good to go for another contract. However, if I'm a team that's out there and I'm looking for a really good left tackle, and he's already stated I'm not playing on turf, I've been very outspoken about turf, and I'm going to pick and choose the games that I decide to play. And, oh, by the way, I think what does him the best is to go out and play and show his wares. Because say you're in, I don't know, say you're in a division like the NFC East, where the Giants play on turf, so at least a minimum of 8 of your games are going to be on turf. You're going to be playing in Dallas on turf. That's 9 games on turf. So that eliminates a team from even looking at you. Any team with a dome, any team that could even be aspiring to get better at the left tackle position that happens to play on turf is not going to want you. You can eliminate a bunch of teams right now because of it. And is he going to want to go to a team that is not contending? Probably not. So you're going to start eliminating more teams. You know, I think it just behooves him to do everything he can to play and to play well and to say, look, I still got it. If you just take care of my body, I still got it. So to answer your question, I hope he's not doing that. I hope he's not doing that.
Don't you think it would be a little silly of David Bakhtiari to expect there's going to be multiple GMs rushing to him this offseason, wanting to sign him to a contract? Why would anyone want to sign up for this?
Well, put it this way, because we all know two things. One is Rodgers has already said, don't doubt me, I'm coming back. So you know he's going to play again. Okay. So the natural instinct is, Bakhtiari probably wants to play with his buddy Aaron Rodgers. They're really good friends. We know that the Jets' offensive line sucks. They desperately need offensive line help. So it's a natural fit, but they play on turf. And it's not like the Jets can say, hey, we're not going to play on turf, because they have to get then to sign off the New York Giants regarding that as well. It's not like they're going to just change the turf for David Bakhtiari. You know, so I can't imagine that doing that would benefit him in any way. It's a very short-term effect. If he just says I'm not going to play on turf, you would assume that. And here's the other question: say Aaron Rodgers is still here, would he have played on Sunday? Do you think? Now again,
Bakhtiari,
right?
You mean?
Right.
Interesting.
So my next, this is the reason I am really holding my breath when he speaks. I would assume he's going to talk to the media today or tomorrow, but I'm really holding my breath that he just simply says, hey guys, nothing to see here. I would never, ever. And this is what I'm looking for, because much like Matt LaFleur should say, damn it, I'm the head coach and no player is going to dictate to me when they will and will not play when they are a healthy player and capable of getting out there on the field. It is not fair to the team. It's not fair to those that are paying his salary. It's not fair to the fans that come to watch him. And it's certainly not fair to the teammates. Okay. So I'm hoping that David Bakhtiari looks everybody in the eye and says, I would never not play with my teammates because of turf. I legitimately had a swelling in my knee. It was sore. It was bothering me. It just flared up on Friday or Saturday, whatever. And I gave, Lucas Patrick a call and said, hey, dude, I think you got to take this one. I just don't think I'm going to be able to go. And then the doctors agreed with me. I'm hoping that's what we hear, that it's an emphatic, I would never do that. What I don't want to hear is, oh gosh, it's a turf field, and you got a chance and blah, blah, blah. And then, turf fields just aren't good for my knee. And my knee was acting up a little bit, but, had it been on a regular field, I probably could have played, but turf and this and that, turf. I want to hear it. I want to hear an emphatic, if I'm capable of playing, no matter where I'm playing, I'd be out there. I'd love for him to say, if it was on asphalt in a street fight, I'd still be there to back up my teammates. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. And we'll wait and see if he does or doesn't, because hopefully he speaks today or tomorrow at the latest. 877-867-1670. If you want to chime in, feel free to go ahead and do so. Hey, got to say thanks to our buddy James Mercado and the whole gang over there at Veterans America. They did a fantastic job with the motorcycle ride and the volunteerism and all the things that they do, and so committed to veterans causes, but also really helping out veterans, military members, their families and such when it comes to their home buying future, whether it's being zero down payment or no PMI or a little bit looser credit requirements. They do anything and everything they can to help you, because they believe owning the land that you've defended. That is Veterans America. Give James a call. Doesn't matter where in the state of Wisconsin you are. 262-745, 262-745-3333, 262-745-3333. You got to call.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
What advice would you give somebody that that's window shopping?
I'd have to say Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin plays at an MVP level in the replacement game. They came in ahead of time, measured all the windows, make sure they had all of the measurements. When the Pella people left, you had no idea they had been here. You just had the new window. They're great professionals, Gina, and some of the best in the world at what they do.
Right now, pay as low as $19 a month per window or $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today. Pella's team of expert installers start with an in-home consultation and finish with no hassle or mess, leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, pay as low as $19 per window and $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today.
$6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offers end 9/30/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Hey, a reminder that if you're looking for terrific Italian food and you're going to be in the Milwaukee area, got to go downtown. Old World 3rd Street, right across from the Hyatt, Calderon Club, San Giorgio Pizzeria, Napolitana. Either place cannot go wrong. The best Italian food you're going to stuff in your grill. Oh, so good. So good. So satisfying. And just a great night out. Great conversation, great place, great atmosphere, all of it. Right down there. Calderon Club and San Giorgio, downtown Milwaukee. I had a couple of questions here during the break, and I want to get to both of them as soon as I can, probably after the top of the hour. But one question was about an oddity. One question was from a person who said the favorite room of your house is, as a sports person. I had to think about that for a minute. Okay. And then another one about Matt LaFleur and coaching in Green Bay. Let's go up to Green Bay, by the way. Brandon listening to us in Green Bay. Brandon, how you doing today? What's going on, man?
I'm good, Bill. Thanks for having me. Real quick, Bakhtiari, I'm hoping, well, for the only good news, I guess, like you said, could come out of it is actually that he's potentially had a setback in the, a flare-up or swelling in the turf. The fact that the game was on turf, might have just been the icing on the cake to just not call it. But like Matt LaFleur said, he didn't think that Bakhtiari would have even played if it was on grass either. As far as the run defense, the quick tangent here, I think I wish that we would have a challenging run game to face this weekend. So, because I have a feeling the defense is going to ball out at Lambeau at home, and it's going to mask some of the deficiencies we still have on defense, and we're going to get our confidence going again, because who's going to be the running back for the Saints this weekend? And we all seen how Derek Carr performs when he gets a little rattled. So I'm bummed that we're going to be masking some more Joe Barry deficiencies and dragging us out longer than it should. I'll take your thoughts off there, Bill.
Yeah, you're probably not going to get Jamal Williams, that's for sure. He's not going to be running. You're probably going to get Kendre Miller, the rookie, is probably going to be the running back because Jamal's been banged up. And you're right, when it comes to Derek Carr, you can get him rattled, and you can. Then again, they still have Michael Thomas and Rashid Shaheed, and Olave is a stud. Olave is really good as a wideout, so they've still got some opportunities there. And Juwan Johnson is their tight end, but. I just want to see what I want to see the Packers do is, when you talk about masking things, yeah, you can mask things. I get it if a team plays into your hands, but I just want to see them play fundamentally sound football. If you win, you win. If you get beat, you get beat. But if you play fundamentally sound football, that's what I'm looking to see. Like I said, if you get beat, and you're just having trouble in the trenches or what have you, okay, it's not great. It's certainly concerning, but you can at least say, okay, I understand what happened there. You're getting gashed or what have you. But I just don't, what I want to see is, hey, if the ball hits you in the hands and you're a defender, you come down with it. I want to see the passing game of Jordan Love. I want to see some connections more than 10, 15 yards downfield. One or two. Just make a defense play honest. I just want to see a fundamentally sound game. That's what I'm looking to see out of the Packers after, and I also want to see a coaching clean game. I don't want to see delay of game penalties. I don't want to see, confusion when it comes to special teams and who's in and who's out, and the same thing on the offense and or defense. I just want to see a fundamentally sound game. Going back to the email that says, as a sports guy, what is the favorite room of your house? That's a really weird question. Nobody's ever asked me that before. And I've got some pretty cool rooms. I've got a great room downstairs with an 85-inch big screen and such. And I love it down there, especially on snowy days, and the fireplace is going and everything. And I've got a bar that's an incredible bar, and I can smoke a cigar down there if I want to. But when you travel as much as I do, the favorite room in my house, there's two rooms that you really three, but two rooms that you kind of appreciate. You appreciate your bedroom and your bathroom because it's where it's where you live. It's where you live the most. You spend at least 8 hours usually in your bedroom. And I do have a TV on the wall. It's comfortable. It's where I charge my phone up, and I, kind of conduct some of my email business and such. I hit the bathroom, obviously, you need space. You have to spread out. When you start living in an RV and you have a great big spacious living space, and you've got a dinette style, a booth style dinette area and everything, and a TV on the wall, and that's really great. But when you realize the space of getting dressed and your clothes and moving around and stuff that prepares you for your day and the end of day, you really come to appreciate your bedroom and your bathroom, especially when you're showering in a phone booth in an RV. So I know it's a weird answer because everybody's got their caves, but man, you really, trust me, When you start to live in confined spaces and you have to make the most out of every little space as a taller guy. And yeah, you really love those spaces, man. So I know it's a weird answer. It wasn't what you were expecting, but that's what it is. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, that's the way to get a hold of us. Otherwise, you can find us via email, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Got some emails coming up too in the next hour as well. So we want to get into some of that stuff. Real quick, an email here before we get to the top of the hour. Mark says, hey, Bill, watch you every day on YouTube. Love the program. Will the huddle be on YouTube as well? Yes. And the huddle, we'll back at it again tonight. We'll be back in studio. Starting next week, we will start traveling. And the dates and the places are now being sent out to those locations. So we should have everything confirmed for next week. What I do have an announcement coming up after the top of the hour as to where we are going to be on Sunday. On Sunday, doing the postgame show. So I'm excited about that. We've got a new home in Green Bay. And kind of been working around a little bit to kind of establish some things up in Green Bay, but we do have a new home for the Green and Gold postgame show. So if you're going to go to the game on Sunday and you want to come and see us afterwards, I'll tell you where you can do that too, coming up here shortly. So hang in there. Stay tuned. 1 hour down, a couple more yet to go. Oh, yeah, we're not done yet by any stretch of the imagination. This portion of the program brought to you by our terrific friends at Quick Trip. And they're giving away cash. They're giving away boats. They're giving away cars. They're giving away all kinds of great stuff. Just go in and check it out. Check out your rewards app as well. Download it, the Quick Trip Rewards app. Get signed up. And whether it's for the bread, the milk, the eggs, the butter, the bananas, the staples, or you're going to the beer cave and you're doing some tailgating, whatever it happens to be, that's Quick Trip. They got it all, and they're voted the best in the country. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
A Milwaukee Brewers manager, Craig Counsel, would pick up his 700th win last night as the Brewers would beat the Cardinals 7-3 at Busch Stadium. William Contreras homered and Tyrone Taylor scored twice and drove in a run, while pitcher Colin Ray picked up the win, allowing 1 run in 4 2/3 innings of work while giving up 3 hits, walking 3 and striking out 2. The Brewers sit 6 games above the Cubs for first place in the NL Central, and their magic number to clinch is at 6. Brewers and Cardinals back at it again tonight. Wisconsin football opens up Big Ten play as they go down to West Lafayette to face Purdue Friday night. Badgers quarterback Tanner Mordecai talks on the challenges facing the Boilermakers and playing under the lights.
I'm pretty excited. I think it's a challenge for us. It's an opportunity. This is what, we've been working for, is to be successful in the Big Ten. And, Purdue's the team that won the West last year, so we have a lot of respect for them and what they've done. So we're excited for the challenge.
Kickoff on Friday is at 6 p.m.
LIUNA stands for the Laborers International Union of North America, a skilled and experienced union with the skills and safety training to be your workforce solution for the Wisconsin construction industry. LIUNA Wisconsin members build infrastructure like roads, bridges, and skyscrapers, as well as solar and wind farms and even pipelines. LIUNA has a long and storied history as they celebrate 120 years as a union. Feel the power of a career as a member of LIUNA. Learn more at liunawisconsin.org.
The Packers get on the practice field today as they prepare for their home opener against the Saints. Now, Green Bay could be without the left side of their offensive line. Guard Elton Jenkins will miss an extended period of time with a sprained MCL, and David Bakhtiari missed Sunday's game against the Falcons with swelling in his knee. The status for running back Aaron Jones and wide receiver Christian Watson are also up in the air as well. Kickoff Sunday is at noon. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome in. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. Excited for today. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Potawatomi, big supporter of the motorcycle ride, but more so of the program. And they've got the new sports book that's going in, although they have a temporary one in there now. They've got the new Rock and Brews, restaurants, the 360 bar, gaming, plus the hotel. Fantastic facility if you're looking for a great weekend, night out, what have you. Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com. Speaking of great places, for those of you that are going to Green Bay this weekend, and you want to check out the postgame show, yes, we are going to be live. We're going to be in person. We're going to be at a destination, and we're looking forward to it coming up on Sunday and every Packers postgame show, the Green and Gold postgame show. We're going to be at Burkle's. Burkle's one block over, and it's right behind Stadium View, and that's where the postgame show is going to be emanating from. So we're proud to say I love our friends at the Green Bay House. Because they were always so great to us, and they still were reaching out and wanted us to come and do the postgame show there. But Burkle's kind of stepped up as one of our sponsors and one of our fine affiliate sponsors, WDUZ in Green Bay. And so we're looking forward to it. So we're going to be checking out Burkle's most likely later today. But yeah, we're going to be there for the postgame show. So just to let you know, so if you're looking for a place to go after the game, it is Burkle's. They got the great big goalpost out front, and they've got the sign at Burgle's one block over and the big bull on top of the sign and such. So come on over and grab yourself some food, grab yourself some beverages, and check out our friends at Burkle's, as we are going to be at Burkle's one block over for the Green and Gold postgame show starting on Sunday. And really, really, really looking forward to working over there. It's right across from where the old Brett Favre Steakhouse used to be when we did the postgame show there. And we were at the Brett Favre Steakhouse for 3 years, something like that, 2 or 3 years, until it just kind of faded away. And anyway, so we know the area really well. But Burkle's right behind Stadium View. That's where we're going to be. Burkle's one block over, and we're really, really, really looking forward to it. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and give us a shout. We got Zach Heilprin coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Zach is going to join us. We're going to talk some Badger football, and the Badgers are heading down to Purdue. Badgers get a win. They're 2-1 on the season, but it was a unimpressive win, or a kind of a win in which there's a lot to be desired still out of this Badger team. We'll talk to Zach about it coming up here in just a little bit. By the way, Kareem Hunt is back with the Cleveland Browns. That transaction was just announced just a little while ago because they lost to Nick Chubb. So Kareem Hunt back with the Cleveland Browns. They signed him. So if you're a fantasy football player, you want to grab that just in case you're looking for a running back. But Kareem Hunt is back. So there you go. Also, quarterback Anthony Richardson for the Colts still in the concussion protocol, not practicing today. So if you have him on your fantasy team as well, just something else to kind of keep in mind. Also, 877-867-1670. JD says, hey, Bill, great show. The discussion regarding Bakhtiari is very intriguing. I can't wait to hear what he has to say today. Do you think that he'll actually speak? Today or tomorrow, at some point, you got to figure he will, because he has to know that, everybody's asking about it, right? Now, let's say he is, we'll say, injured. Then if he doesn't practice and he's not on the field and he is injured, then he doesn't have to be in the locker room. So then, no, he would not speak today. But you are hoping that he does. You are hoping that he's around to be able to kind of, squash the rumors or what have you, but nah. Andrew says, is there anything us viewers in the Chippewa Valley area can do to get the full 4 hours of the show? We don't get the first hour unless we put it on the stream. Call your local radio station. That's the only thing I can tell you, is call the local radio station. Say, hey, we want the full 4 hours. I know, for those of you who listen in Milwaukee, they tape delay it. They tape delay it in a couple other markets. I think Viroqua it's tape delayed too, but they play the show twice. They play it, I think, from 2 to 6 and 6 to 10 there. I'm not quite sure what they do at WMAM up in Menominee Marinette. I don't know if they tape delayed or not. I don't think they do, but yeah, if you want us on a particular station, start calling a radio station, and if you're watching us, in a market, say you're listening to us or watching us on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch or Kick or wherever, and you're in a market that doesn't carry the show, start calling them. Start bugging the hell out of them, especially this time of year when you want to consume Packers football as much as you possibly can for everything that we offer and the show offers. Absolutely. Start calling them. And if you want a list of the stations in those areas, I'd be happy to tell you because we love to be on some of those stations as well. This is from Jack. Jack says, I do hope Bakhtiari speaks and puts all of this to bed because all the speculation is driving me nuts. I can't fathom him just saying I'm not going to play. So I hope he's not that guy. Appreciate the email. This is from Kirk. Kirk says, hey, Bill, look forward to seeing you at Burkle's on Sunday. Did not know you were going to be there. Will you be there immediately following the game, or do you guys go on the air after? No, immediately following the game. Just an FYI, just immediately following the game. We go on for anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours after the game. So come on over. We'd love to have you. He also says that I'm looking for a good game out of the Packers this weekend, a bounce back game, if you will. I think that Jordan Love is finally going to open it up downfield a little bit. This could be the game that Christian Watson comes back and shows that blazing speed. Let's hope, right? Let's hope. Let's hope there's some kind of a connection. I would love to see one or two downfield opportunities that actually connect. Not just you're throwing it to throw it, just to show that you can do it. I want to see one connect. We have not seen that yet. Dustin says, Bach is sitting out because of the turf. The NFL will not get rid of the turf, so stop complaining about it. I love playing on turf over grass. Yeah, you're not. The NFL is not going to get rid of it. They did a cost estimation on some of that stuff to get rid of all the turf, and it's not a ton of money. It's not. What had to change it over from turf to grass? It's not. You're not talking about hundreds of millions of dollars here. Okay, you're not. However, there is a maintenance fee that eats into the bottom line of every team that has grass, whether it's watering it, fertilizing it, the staff that you have to hire to then keep it. Because if you get turf, if you have field turf, you got a couple of guys that go out and make sure the seams are good. They know they've taken all the classes on how to repair the seams, on how to, spread the granules properly. If you start to have pieces of it start to deteriorate or what have you, what to look for, how to paint it. That's it, right? When it comes to grass, you have to have people to mow it. You have to have people to patch it. You have to have all the schooling and the knowledge. Plus you have to have the equipment. You have to have the fertilizer. You have to have the water. You have all that stuff. It all costs money. It costs more money maintenance wise in regular grass than it does in the field turf, So that's the reason that some teams, and let's be honest, in some climates, it's hard to grow grass. In some of these buildings, it's hard to grow grass. Now, like the Packers, what they did is said, screw you to everybody, because they said, look, we're not going to AstroTurf. We're not going to the field turf. And we brought in these lights. I think they were originated in Sweden or something, where these grow lights that they put in, and you see it when you drive past Miller Park or his American Family Field as well in the wintertime, or when the Brewers aren't there at night. There's this orange glow coming out of the ballpark, and it's those grow lights. There's this light that they roll these things over the grass, in case you've never seen it. And there's these I don't even know how to explain it, but it's probably 20 yards to 30 yards wide of these long rows of lights, about every 5 yards of long rows of lights. And they plug them in and they just put them over the grass. It looks like heat lamps. It looks like a giant heat lamp, like you would see at a fast food restaurant, And the lights heat up and give the natural lighting nutrients to the grass or what have you. They act as if they're the sun. And that's what they use. And not to mention, inside Lambeau Field, inside the grass at Lambeau Field, for every one or two blades of natural grass, they stitch in this turf. I don't know exactly how they do it, but they plug it in. So it's got a turf element to it, even though it's still in dirt. But it's a much softer surface. But if Green Bay can do it, anybody can do it. Because all you do is you roll the tarp over it, you blow the heat underneath the tarp, And then you put the grow lights on it when you're not playing there. And it's if you've noticed over the last few years specifically, I mean, the grass, even in December and January, still looks really good. Really good. But it's also a lot of money. They had to tear everything up. They had to put that heating element underneath there. And then they had to lay it all back down, put the grass back down, stitch in that turf, get the grow light. There's a process to it. There's a lot of money involved, so that's what it is. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. And I'll be honest with you in this particular fact as well. I love bad weather games. Now I know, stadiums don't like bad weather games because it tears up the turf, it tears up the grass and what have you. But I love the games when there's standing water and guys are diving in puddles and mud and all the other stuff that goes along with it. I love those games. Last year, remember, it was the game in which it was pouring down rain. I think it was San Francisco and Chicago, down in Chicago. And Justin Fields goes running down the field and then dives and slides in through the end zone on his belly and is just like almost surfing through the end zone because there's so much standing water there. I love that kind of stuff. Love it. You don't get that in turf. It soaks in and it goes underneath the turf and it drains out of the ballpark right away. So anyway, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, give us a shout. We'd love to hear from you. Let's go to Jason listening to us in Sturgeon Bay. Jason, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, well, it's just the cost of this grass. I mean, it's nowhere near the cost that if your star quarterback goes down with a knee injury, the cost to have grass is nothing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. To put it down, I mean, it's a little bit of an upfront expense, but if you're going to be losing star players, I agree. Look, if you can do it and you can grow grass, I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't understand why you wouldn't. Appreciate the phone call. I agree with you. Guys like Bakhtiari, the same thing. Now, in a dome, I understand it, but I still think that, say you take a place like, say, U.S. Bank Stadium, which has a lot of natural light because of the glass that surrounds that stadium, and then you put the grow lights in there. Now, watering it, I don't know what that does because I don't think there is a drainage system under that field. I'm sure you could probably build one, but regardless. But watering it, I don't know what that does. I don't know how hard it is to grow grass inside. I mean, come on. We talked about this the other day. How many times have we seen these underground grow places where they're growing weed, man, in garages and stuff, right? If they can grow that kind of stuff there, why can't they grow grass in a dome? It's a different type of grass, I admit, but it is what it is. We got Zach Heilprin coming up at the bottom of the hour. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break and come back. We'll get back into some of this discussion as well. Packers back in the practice field today. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming up. This portion of the program being brought to you by our friends at theniceash.com. The Nice Ash, the cigar bar, downtown Waukesha, 323 West Main Street. Whether it's the walk-in humidor or maybe you don't smoke, that's fine. Go in, sit in one of the big plush chairs and watch one of the games, or sit at the bar, enjoy the music on the weekends. They've got all kinds of things happening down at the Nice Ash. TheNiceAsh.com, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
What advice would you give somebody that that's window shopping?
I'd have to say Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin plays at an MVP level in the replacement game. They came in ahead of time, measured all the windows, make sure they had all of the measurements. When the Pella people left, you had no idea they had been here. You just had the new window. They're great professionals, Gina, and some of the best in the world at what they do.
Right now, pay as low as $19 a month per window or $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today. Pella's team of expert installers start with an in-home consultation and finish with no hassle or mess, leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, pay as low as $19 per window and $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today.
$6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offers end 9/30/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Got an email here from Janice. Janice and her husband, Mike, they went to the Four Seasons Island Resort. Now, Mike was going up there for business, and he met some of his friends over at Timberstone and the golf course and said, absolutely loved it, loved our stay. The food in the Diamond Room was perfect. I had a great conversation with some friends in the upstairs lounge, and you were right about the Boundary Water Sports Bar and Grill. It is just a kooky, fun place to go. Thanks for the heads up. Never been there before. We'll certainly be back. That's Janice and her husband Mike from they went up to the Four Seasons on the resort. That's what I said. It's just there's a lot of eclectic stuff. Not to mention the old lore of what whether it's the haunted stuff if you're into that and you want to go up around Halloween, or maybe it's something to do with the years gone by and the old mobs and all that kind of stuff. And they used to hold meetings up there, whatever. But just cool, eclectic place. Just a really neat place. Four Seasons Island Resort. That's in Pembine, Wisconsin. Four Seasons Island Resort, 715-938-5110. Call our girl Barb, 715-938-5110. And tell them we sent you. Use the promo code Michaels15. You get 15% off of your stay. So thanks to Janice for sending the email over. Certainly appreciate it. Mark says, is David Bakhtiari going to be with this team next year? Maybe that's what the change in attitude is. Probably not. I don't say anything for certain, but I would assume no. I mean, if the Packers do decide to let him go, they're going to save between $19 and $20 million, I think, via salary cap. They're still going to pay him about $20 million, but they'll save $20 million on the cap. So he kind of knows what's going on. It's a business. You understand that side of it. I mean, unless he, for whatever reason, would want to rework his deal and come back for less money, or I don't know. But no, I would say with 95% certainty, he's not going to be here next year. But any player that knows they're not going to be with a team next year knows that they're playing for the next contract, knows they got to get picked up. So, all this speculation, I just can't imagine. It's unless you're just comfortable in the fact that you're like, you know what, after this season, my career is over. Maybe he's looking at it that way. The knee just isn't going to hold up. I don't think I can commit to another team for 2 or 3 year deal, maybe a 1 year deal at best. It's going to be incentivized, for how many games you play and such. But I can't, unless he decides that, this is it. This is my last hurrah. Unless he does that, I can't imagine going out that way from your former team, because there's a contentiousness there of, well, I'm not going to play in certain situations. And you be, like I said before, you begin to eliminate teams. You eliminate any dome team, damn near, that has turf over natural grass. You eliminate any division that has numerous games in which you're going to play on turf, or maybe a team that looks ahead and says, hey, we've got 6 or 7 games with teams that are going to be on turf. They don't want to lose you for that if that's going to be your stance. So I don't think that has anything to do with it. I'm hoping not. The timing of everything and the response of Matt LaFleur has been odd. Now, I was texting with Mike Clemens during the break. Mike is going to join us in the last hour of the program today to talk a little bit about this, but practice is a little later today, and the locker room and such is going to be open after practice, which means we're not going to have any of this stuff until tonight. Tonight, we're going to have it during the huddle. We're going to have a lot more discussion tonight during the huddle, but we're not going to have it during the show. So Mike's going to give us a call and give us a little insight today from up in Green Bay regarding that. But during the huddle tonight, which airs 6 to 8 on many of these same stations and right here on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitch TV and Kick TV and over on Instagram. And I think it's on LinkedIn now. Hell, I don't know. It's all over the place. But in every one of these senses, it'll be discussed tonight during the huddle for sure. And Rick, you're right. 11 years. It's a long career for an offensive lineman. Long career. Let's see here. This is from, who's this from? This is from, the Jack of all trades. Jack of all trades says, hey, Bill, who is going to be the next offensive lineman for the Green Bay Packers that takes over at left tackle? I don't know if they're set on that. I mean, that could be somebody that's in the fold. That could be a Lucas Patrick right now. Hell, who knows? It could be a Caleb Jones. It could be somebody else that they pick up via left tackle in free agency, or they could draft one. I don't sit here today and say that Rasheed Walker's the guy, but he's certainly next man up on the depth chart, right? So, and he was impressive in camp. They liked him. Does he become the next left tackle? I mean, personally, I keep talking about Caleb Jones because the guy is just a massive mountain of a human being. I would love to see him get on with it, but there's a reason he wasn't drafted, with limited skill opportunities and such. So but again, you cannot, for whatever reason, you can't teach size. So, and that guy's massive, but again, it's like a Jay Sternberger, both coming out of Indiana. They've got limited capability. So, we'll see who ends up being the next one. But right now, you would figure the guy that's got the leg up is Rasheed Walker because he's the backup. He got the start, so they're probably going to give him every opportunity in the world. This is from Tucker. Tucker says, hey, Bill, is Aaron Jones back this week? Any word? We'll find out later today once practice happens, if he's back in the practice field or if he's off to the side working out or if he's nowhere to be found. If he's nowhere to be found, then no, I would say he's not going to be back. But if he's, somewhere working out or back with the team, then you would probably think that, yeah, the 1 week off did him some good. I got to be honest. I hope he's not. And I don't mean it in a derogatory way, but man, hamstring issues, they are so fickle. You'd rather get an extra week of just resting it and stretching it and manipulating it, moving it, and being able to really be ready flexibility-wise for that next contest, then come back a week too early and hurt it again. Because if you hurt it again, it's 4 or 5 games minimal, you know? That's why I said go look at Joe Burrow's injury, that calf injury, when they brought him back. Calf injuries, calf tears like that, they're 5 weeks. And they brought him back in 3.5, 4 weeks. And I kept saying that that's not good, because it doesn't give it enough time to heal. Had they kept him out of these first 2 games, yeah, they might be in the exact same spot of 0-2, but at least you'd have a healthy quarterback coming back. Now he's going to be banged up the rest of the year. You know, whether he misses the next game or he doesn't. But now Joe Burrow is going to be hurting for the rest of the season. You know, so I don't know why they felt the need to rush him back, especially with an injury like that, but they did. You know, and again, you talk about a calf injury. Look, Aaron Rodgers, he had a calf issue in one of the mini camps and kept saying he was fine, He was healthy, he was ready to go, you know, and then they say, now I'm not a doctor. I know I was watching a piece that Dr. Cho did with Pat McAfee, saying that the calf issue is an indicator that there are some other issues there. So you got to be really careful with the calf issues. Not to say that you could have prevented the Achilles tear, but that whole muscular area, especially in the lower leg, works together. And that can be that if the calf is weakened or problematic, that can lead to other issues down the road. And that's the reason, man, when you get into issues like that, hamstrings and calf muscles and those soft tissue injuries, you got to be careful with them. You got to be certain you're 100% coming back. You got to be. Otherwise, if it happens again, it's worse, more detrimental. It can be season ending. You just got to be real careful. Let's do this. Speaking of a season right now, which has been somewhat uninspiring. They're still sitting at 2-1, but somewhat uninspiring. And that is the play of the Wisconsin Badgers and Luke Fickell's bunch. And maybe we got out over our skis a little bit. It's going to take a little time. I think there's some time there. But I want to see from the guy that's been there up close and personal, his perspective. Zach Heilprin, the sports director at our flagship station, The Zone out in Madison, going to be joining us coming up next. We're going to talk with him about, Tanner Mordecai and about this defense, a little bit about the offensive line, which he and I were texting back and forth on Saturday a little bit. And we're going to talk about that coming up as well. But I just some things I want to discuss with him. So Zach is going to join us here at the bottom. Hey, got to say thanks to our friends at Boondocks Barbecue Burgers and Brews, which is another place, by the way, that we are going to be doing either a post-game show or a huddle from real soon. So stay tuned for that. County Road K in Oconomowoc. Go to boondocksbbqs.com if you're looking for catering. They've got a food truck, a lot of great stuff out there, and they have the new shop. Yes, it has finally opened. Cheese and barbecue sauces and all that kind of stuff. boondocksbbqs.com. That's boondocksbbqs.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Tremendous place, 2 places actually, but if you're looking for a great fish fry or a place to watch the game this coming weekend, Stoley's Hog Alley out in Lake Country on Venice Beach Road in Oconomowoc with the great burgers and pizza. And they have the, which has been a godsend to them for expanding their location, the outside patio, the upstairs deck, everything that goes along with it. And then there's Stoll's Old 109 out in Watertown. TVs all over the place. You can open up the garage doors. The outside comes inside. It's so fantastic. And the food in both are just spectacular. County Road R in Watertown. Stoley's Hog Alley in Lake Country. Stoll's Old 109 in Watertown. You cannot go wrong with either place. Both places just absolutely fantastic. Bring him in now. Zach Heilprin, sports director, WOZN, The Zone out in Madison. Talk some Badger football. So, Zach, let me first of all ask you about the game. If you're going to use an adjective to describe the game this past weekend, what would it be?
Oh, Bill, you put me on the spot there. Yeah, I don't know if I have an adjective for it, but I will say the first 3 games of the season have been inconsistent. And, I mean, just trying to describe this team in a word would be inconsistent and kind of a roller coaster for them. Horrible first halves, really good third quarters, fourth quarters. It's just inconsistency has been probably the word I would use to describe this team.
So, like, if you're going to sit down and say, okay, this needs to be, because you and I are texting back and forth a little bit during the game the other day, and I'm watching and I'm thinking to myself, man, maybe we just got spoiled. And the fact that it used to be these big bruising offensive linemen that just blew open holes. The run game was prevalent, which then accented the passing game and on from there. I don't see the big bruising offensive lineman blowing open holes. I don't see a run game that's proficient. I see Tanner Mordecai tucking and running quite a bit as pressure begins to kind of collapse upon him. The offense just doesn't look fluid right now. Is that a product of just being new, or do you think that there's some other issues that have to be corrected down the road that Luke Fickell's going to have to address in years to come?
Yeah, I mean, they've recruited the offensive line about as well as you could possibly hope. There are stars up and down that line, but you actually then have to go out and play. And they have not, in the last few years, performed to the way that they've recruited. And this year, to this point, haven't done so, to the level that they probably think that they want to. The pass protection has at times been good. I would say that, a lot of the things that probably people are thinking about are some of the strip sacks against Washington State. There wasn't the greatest protection from the left side of the line again on Saturday against Georgia Southern. That to me is a significant concern against better teams. That said, I do think that there's opportunity for improvement, and there has to be, right? You can't consistently be putting that type of product on the field and not being able to hit the benchmarks that you want to as an offense. And so far they haven't. I mean, they've been okay, but they haven't been the offense that I think many of us were expecting. And again, I think that is part of it. Part of it is being so early in the year, and you're running just a completely different scheme overall. Offensive line-wise, they're not doing a ton of different things than they were before. It's just a lot more spread out, and that to me has to probably be like the unfortunate thing if you're a Wisconsin fan, that the offensive line, they're doing a lot of similar things as past years, but they're not doing them a ton better than they have in the past.
The one thing that I saw out of last weekend's ball game that had been somewhat concerning up until that point, I thought it was better this week, was you didn't have guys in the secondary like pointing at one another or talking to one another like, no, you should have had that guy. Or it seemed like there was much more understanding of the defense, of maybe this new defensive terminology or what have you. It seemed like there was a better understanding. You didn't see as many secondary gaffes and or mix-ups as we had the first couple of weeks. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, the mix-ups I don't think were there. They still gave up way too many yards. I mean, they gave up the guy threw for 300, I think it was 80-something yards. But they forced 5. I mean, they picked off 5 passes. So it kind of evens itself out. They are ranked 114th right now, Bill, in the country against the pass. And that's just not truly what Wisconsin defense has been about. Now, you go and look at the yard. Now, they've also been passed against the second most of any team in the country. And when you go and look at the yards per attempt, it's like they're giving up I think it's like 50th in the country. So it's not nearly as bad as I think the raw numbers would show. But there are some concerns. And I think you're going to see on Friday night, because of how much man coverage they play and how teams are scheming their guys to get open, that they're going to be challenged again on Friday night with Hudson Card and that Purdue offense throwing the ball down the field and taking some shots. And they have to be better there. They absolutely have to be better. If they're going to play that much man defense and they're going to put themselves in position to have to beat, one-on-one and have these guys beat them, then you have to win more often than they have to this point in the year. So we'll see. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be really tough for that secondary on Friday night.
On a Saturday afternoon when it's crisp and sunny out, Ross-Ade Stadium still feels like a glorified high school stadium to a certain extent. On a Friday night game, Zach, it's going to feel weird down there, isn't it?
It is. It is. I can't remember. So, Wisconsin's opened on Fridays before. They opened on a Friday, at home a bunch. They've done it on the road, actually. Did it at South Florida a few years ago. But they've never done it in the middle of the season where you're on a short week. So it's kind of got a bit of an NFL feel this week. Yeah, going down there, they did renovate the stadium this off-season, Bill, but I don't know it's going to have a whole different feel to it. I will say they played last week at night against Syracuse, and it looked like a pretty good environment. Now, whether that'll be the same case after going 1-2 and facing a team you haven't beaten since 2003, who knows? But I'm looking forward to it. It is going to be a little bit of a different feel. Friday Night Lights. We talked to the guys yesterday about it, and Tanner Mordecai, who played in Texas, had his eyes bulged open when he was talking about it because he was so excited to be back playing on a Friday night because Texas football and Friday Night Lights down there is just something different than anywhere else in the country. And so I think a lot of these guys are looking forward to it, even though it is on a short week. And trying to get ready for that and trying to get your body ready for that probably isn't ideal.
Yeah, it's just such a weird place with that open end of that horseshoe.
They closed it in.
Yeah. Oh, that's the area they closed in. Okay. Maybe it'll feel a little bit more like a big time stadium, but it always felt like when you would go there,
Right?
that open end stadium, it was like that's where the concessions were going to be. And you're going to have the cheerleaders coming out and doing stuff at halftime and 50-50, just like a Friday night game, at a high school. So that at least they closed that in. And it'll feel a little bit more big time. Okay. Let's go back to Tanner Mordecai, because I think from what I've watched and progression wise, it hasn't been spectacular, but he has certainly gotten better over the last 3 games. Do you agree?
Yeah, by far. I mean, you look at the first game, he wasn't turned the ball over twice, and it didn't feel right. Played, I thought, pretty well against Washington State, and I thought last week was consistent both in the pass game and, when to take off and run. And, he is a better athlete than I think he's given credit for. And we'll see, because this week against Purdue, because quarterback for Syracuse, Schrader, ran for 195 yards last week against Purdue. So to me, that would suggest that maybe Tanner Mordecai could have another big night with his feet. But I think the greatest thing about what he does is it's not about looking to take off and running right away. He's still keeping his eyes down the field. He wants to throw it first. He wants to throw it from the pocket. But when things break down, he is able to get outside and throw on the run. We saw that against Washington State with his touchdown to Skylar Bell. And I can't remember the last quarterback at Wisconsin that you've been able to say that about. A guy that can get out of the pocket, move, and throw on the run, and you feel good about it. And if nothing is open, he can take off and run and get you some big yards. I know Jack Cohn had a couple of longer runs, but Tanner Mordecai is a better athlete than Jack Cohn, and he looks comfortable throwing on the run. So yes, it hasn't been perfect by any stretch. They've missed on some plays down the field, but I think tomorrow or on Friday night, they're going to have some opportunities to take shots down the field, because Purdue, like Wisconsin, plays a ton of man on the outside, and this will be an opportunity for them to maybe hit on some of the throws that they didn't or were unable to complete against Washington State a couple weeks ago, because they had their chances, and now it's just maybe Tanner Mordecai a few more weeks gives them a chance to actually finish on those.
Boy, I tell you what, going to the positive, Tucker Ashcraft, my God, he's been solid, hasn't he?
I love that they found this guy because Dillon didn't want him. He was a guy that was committed to Colorado, and then when Dillon got hired, it was a situation where they kind of, I don't want to say ghosted him, but he knew quite early that place was not going to be for him with that new staff. And Wisconsin kind of lucked out. Because they have nobody at tight end, really, outside of him and Hayden Rucci in terms of guys that they feel comfortable playing right now due to injury and otherwise. But yeah, for a true freshman to be able to come in and play that well and play that much, it's been a godsend. And I think he's got when you put the two things together, we saw his receiving ability, we saw some of his blocking ability on one of Braylon Allen's touchdown runs. He, closed down a side and put the guy on the ground for a pancake. It's impressive to see a guy that early in his career who was not heavily recruited to come in and make an impact at a position Wisconsin desperately needed him to. It's been amazing to see.
Real quick before I let you go, I want to go back to the offensive line and also the run game and what they've been able to do with Braylon Allen and Ches Malusi. Do you think that they need to use the run game more to be able to set things up? Because I know that they've kind of tried to mix it up and they want to do this air raid thing, but maybe they need to go back to kind of what it is until they have all the pieces in place to do the air raid style of offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like they've tried to establish the run early in games at times. I mean, it's only 3 games, so it's kind of a really small sample size, but they've tried and just didn't have a lot of success. I mean, Washington State stopped the run and Georgia Southern stopped the run early. It wasn't until the second half when Braylon kind of got, and he's dinged up right now. So you're not seeing 100% Braylon Allen, which has kind of been the story of his career. He's been so good, and yet probably could have been even better if he wasn't dinged up. But you saw in the second half him kind of get going a little bit, and I think that's what they need. They need guys. I mean, it's easy to say, oh gosh, you broke off a 32-yard run. They should do that all the time. I think it has to be married between the two, and Wisconsin is going to take what a defense gives you. And I hate that. When Phil Longo says it, because I think it's just maddening for fans. They want to see what Wisconsin's been for the last 30 years, and why can't they just run the ball down people's throats? Well, if they're trying to take the run away, Phil Longo's going to pass. That's just what's going to happen. So do I think that they would like to establish run more early in games? Yes. Have they been able to do it? No. But that's also been their MO across the entire team. They have not been a very good first half team. They've gotten lit up defensively. They haven't gotten a lot offensively. They've been outscored, I think, 41-30 in the first half of games this year. Come up and show what you are. Come and be who you were in the third quarter of games to this point. And I think people have a much better feel for Wisconsin, or would appreciate Wisconsin a lot more if they played like they did in the third quarter throughout the entire game, or at least to start the game. They've just been so slow to start games that it's really, really tough, I think, for fans to watch. And then you see what they do in the third quarter and be like, hey, do that in the first quarter. And I think people will be a lot happier with everything they would have been able to see this point to this year.
Great stuff as always, Zach. We appreciate it, and we will touch base again throughout the season, I'm sure, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Appreciate it, pal. Talk to you soon. There you go. That is our good buddy, Zach Heilprin, the sports director, WOZN, the Zone out in Madison, our flagship station there, and he covers the Packers and the Badgers, but covers the Badgers extremely well. Excuse me. So when you want to get the information on the Badgers and bounce opinions around, that's a guy to go to. And like I said, him and I were texting back and forth during the game on Saturday. He's going to be down in Purdue coming up on Friday night. And, coming up here next, what do you got? Like some wild Bears stuff that's happened?
I just found a Twitter thread from Dan Wiederer, who's the Chicago Tribune.
Right.
Just a couple of comments. I can't believe what's going on in Chicago. Is that like no one's in jail, nothing like that, but just some of the comments from Eberflus's press conference today. I can't believe some of the things that are going on down there.
All right. Well, let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. And then we'll hear somebody, sometimes you can revel in somebody else's misery. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a little bit of that when we come back. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up, this portion of the program. Brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. The cold winds are going to start blowing. We all know that. And if you're like me last year, you said enough. Got to replace that leaky, cold, metal, aluminum, big, heavy ass, won't open unless you got 12 people pulling on your waist to try to get the thing open, patio door. So finally replaced it, and God, it was one of the best things I ever did in my house. Whether it's the street beautification, or it's the value of the house, or it's the fact that it's economical, and now I can sit down in the great room and I don't have to worry about freezing my ass off all throughout the wintertime. It's just awesome, and I can't recommend it enough. That's our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com, P-E-L-L-A, PellaWI.com, or call them 855-PELLA, W-I, 855-PELLA-WI.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
What advice would you give somebody that that's window shopping?
I'd have to say Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin plays at an MVP level in the replacement game. They came in ahead of time, measured all the windows, make sure they had all of the measurements. When the Pella people left, you had no idea they had been here. You just had the new window. They're great professionals, Gina, and some of the best in the world at what they do.
Right now, pay as low as $19 a month per window or $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today. Pella's team of expert installers start with an in-home consultation and finish with no hassle or mess, leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, pay as low as $19 per window and $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today.
$6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offers end 9/30/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show. Rocking on. Having a good time today. Hopefully you are as well on this Wednesday. Packers back in the practice field. Craig Counsel gets his 700th win yesterday. And coming up tonight, we got the Bill Michaels Huddle, 6 to 8 on many of these same stations. If they don't carry it, then you got to find us over on YouTube. I highly suggest whether it's YouTube or listening on the app, WOZN, The Zone Madison. The Zone Madison, download that app or go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can, by the way, it's all free. You can subscribe for free. You can watch for free. Just click on like, keep smashing the like button. We certainly appreciate that. But when you subscribe, it pops up. It'll tell you, hey, we're going on the air. Allow your notifications. And it'll say when we go on the air and we do our stuff, you can always watch it and check it out there as well. So highly recommend it. So down in Chicago, do we want to do this now or do we want to wait until after the top of the hour?
We can wait to do this at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
We can wait a couple of minutes.
Okay, let's do that because sometimes we feel better about ourselves when we revel in somebody else's misery. And the misery right now is coming definitely from down below, which is just south of the border in Illinois, where the Bears are just in a free fall when it comes to the criticism and such of the organization, of their quarterback, Justin Fields, and everything that goes along with it. So anyway, we'll get into that coming up after the bottom of the hour. So what did you drop your car off today for?
Oh, I sent you a message about this.
Yeah.
I dropped it off because one of the tires has been squealing and it needs an oil change and a tire rotation.
Okay.
And then I said, because it was making some noise, look it over. I just got sent the list. And Bill, I might be the highest paid producer on this network, but my driver's side handle is broken. So you gotta jimmy it a little bit to get it open.
Yeah.
Or you walk around to the other door and you reach across and you push it open. It costs $400 to replace the handle. $400.
Yeah.
The car's 20 years old. The car's like not worth that much more than the handle.
To replace a handle?
Yeah. A handle, a little plastic handle.
What is the handle cost? What is the actual cost of the handle?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Holy crap. $400 to replace a handle. That's like obscene.
I'll climb in through the moonroof to save $400.
What are you driving? A Mercedes?
It's a Toyota.
My God.
When I was in college, Bill, I once called like the local chop shop because I needed to get I think it was a 1998 Camry at the time. I needed to get an oil change, and I called and I said, "Hey, can I go to UWL? I just moved here. I need someone to check out my car." And the guy groans and he goes, "It's not a Cadillac, is it?" I'm like, who do you think is on the other end of this phone right now? Who do you think you're talking to?
Oh, that's great. It's not a Cadillac, is it? You should have said, yeah, it actually it is. It's the Cadillac of cars that I own.
Yes, it's the nicest car that I own.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. It's the Cadillac of cars that I own. Absolutely. Wow. Okay. Well, good luck with that, I guess. I pick and choose what I have replaced at this point. But then again, you're not far. You could always take it to our guys at J&L Tire Service. They fix all that stuff. They fixed the door handle for me. They fixed an undercarriage cover for me, too.
I told him in the notes that I replied, I'm like, I just need it to last me through this winter. I'm going to try to get a new car next summer. So
okay.
I just need it to stay alive.
I'm starting to think about a new truck. Actually buying one. I love my Genesis, but I'm also thinking about a new truck because I'd like to, anyway, never mind. All right, let's do this. When we come back, we'll revel. We'll roll around in it, revel in the misery that is the Chicago Bears. When we come back, stay tuned. We've got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Up next, right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers are back in the field for practice today as they get ready for their home opener on Sunday against the 2-0 Saints. New Orleans has won its first two games by a combined 4 points with wins over Tennessee at home and at Carolina on Monday night. They owned one of the better defenses in the league, while the offense is led by former Raiders quarterback Derek Carr. The Packers, meanwhile, have scored the second most points through the first 2 weeks of the season. Can be looking to bounce back after blowing a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter at Atlanta. Turning to the Badgers, they're going to head to Purdue tomorrow. It's where they'll open up Big Ten play on Friday night. Playing on a short week is new for Wisconsin, but safety Hunter Wohler says the situation they're walking into is something they're looking forward to.
Night games, I think, are always amped up a little bit more. It's prime time. It's under the lights, big crowd. We're going into the defending Big Ten West champions house. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great challenge. It's a great opportunity to go out and play the game. And, we execute. We do the things we need to do. It'll be a fun night for us.
Badgers are 2-1. Purdue comes in 1-2. Kick on Friday is at 6.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Rural Mutual is the #1 farm insurer in Wisconsin for a good reason. As a company founded by farmers, they understand the ag industry and its challenges. Local agents offer farm families the best advice and personalized coverage. Visit ruralmutual.com to find an agent near you.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers' magic number to clinch the NL Central is at 6. That's after they took care of St. Louis last night, 7-3. They'll face the Cardinals again tonight. First pitch is at 6:45. And the Wisconsin basketball team released its full schedule yesterday. It includes a difficult 3-game stretch to open up December against Marquette, at Michigan State, and at Arizona. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show on this Wednesday. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go, and good to have you. Packers back on the practice field. Brewers get a win. Technically, they're 6 games away from clinching, but they've already clinched. I've already thrown the dagger in the Cubs. It's over. The Brewers have won the National League Central. Now start getting those playoff tickets ready. They're going to have the lower-end wild card team that's going to be coming into American Family Field for the 3-game series. And at that point, then the Brewers hopefully get a couple of wins and advance and move on and find themselves facing either Atlanta or somebody else, for that matter, the Dodgers in an NLCS, and maybe lightning strikes and they end up finding themselves in a series late October, which would be absolutely fantastic. In the meantime, the Green Bay Packers trying to figure their stuff out. We'll hear from later on today, David Bakhtiari and company, hopefully And the Packers back on the practice field. Will they have Aaron Jones back, Christian Watson back, Bakhtiari back? How's Elton Jenkins doing? On and on and on. We'll get a full report on the injuries as well. In the meantime, let's talk some NFL in general. Our buddy Mark Schofield from SB Nation and such joining us here on the hotline. Mark, how you doing?
I am doing well, Bill. It is great to be with you as we are each week. Excited to talk a little week 2 and maybe look ahead to week 3 as we get rolling here. Always excited to be with you.
Yeah, it's interesting because you've got some 0-2 teams. You look at a team like Cincinnati, they've got Joe Burrow with the ailing calf muscle, not since 2020 or 2021 has a team in 23 teams been 0-2 and then actually gone on to the postseason. So you've got some teams that are battling that right now. You've got a lot of success down in Dallas, and is that sustainable? There's just a lot of question marks. They've got question marks over in Pittsburgh as well. So certainly down in Chicago where things are just awful, for lack of a better term. If you had to say the first couple of weeks, the big stories are, what would they be?
I think one story is the story you just sort of mentioned there, what we're seeing in Chicago. This was supposed to be the year of the Justin Fields leap, right? This is year 3. This is when we've seen quarterbacks such as Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts take that big step forward. And certainly the Bears tried to model themselves after those Eagles because, they execute the trade with the Panthers. They pick up that future first rounder for next year. But instead of drafting a quarterback when there was a decent quarterback class in front of them, they decided, nope, we're going to give Justin Fields another year. We're going to build around him. Yes, we've got that hedge like the Eagles did last year, but we believe in him. And we're going to get the best version of Justin Fields on the field this season. Well, through 2 games, that has been anything but the best version of Justin Fields. And what concerns me about what we're seeing from Fields right now is a lack of trust, because he had some comments earlier today. He's not sort of trusting himself. He's not trusting what he's seeing. This is what we saw early last year. We saw a quarterback in Justin Fields last season that didn't trust his eyes, didn't trust his arms. Sometimes he felt like wasn't trusting his receivers who he was going to throw to in the passing game. We expected him to be beyond this. We expected this offense to be beyond it. But in a way, it sort of regressed to what we saw earlier in the year, last year. Now, there is still time for him to sort of sort that out. But I do think that the clock is ticking and time might be running out here. So Fields and his struggle is certainly a story. The NFC South, I don't think people expected 3 of the 9 unbeaten teams in the NFL through 2 weeks to be coming from the NFC South. People might have said, yeah, you might see it in the AFC North. You might see it in the AFC East. The AFC is going to be so great. We'll get to that in a second. But no, you've got Atlanta, you've got Tampa Bay, and you've got New Orleans, all at 2-0. Now, are those records down in Tampa Bay and Atlanta real? We'll see. The schedules are going to get tougher for both of those teams going forward. That's certainly an interesting division, the way it's playing out. And then, as I just mentioned, we all thought the AFC, right? It was going to be a gauntlet. You can have all these great teams in the AFC. AFC hasn't looked great so far. You've got teams like the Bengals at 0-2, Bills at 1-1, Chiefs at 1-1, and some of these teams in the NFC look a little bit better than we thought they were going to look. That NFC writ large looks a little bit better than we thought they were going to look. And I think if you sort of took stock of all the teams right now, you might say 3 maybe of the teams in the NFC are among the elite in the NFL, the Niners, the Cowboys. You want to put the Eagles in there. And so I think those are sort of the big storylines right now. AFC's looked a little bit down, more so than we thought. Justin Fields has certainly struggled. And yeah, that NFC South might be not the best division of football, but perhaps the most fun.
The AFC East, which was supposed to be this 3-way dominated, quarterback-driven, yada, 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 isn't. And obviously without Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson looked human against one of the best defense, if not the best defense in the National Football League. But could we talk about 3 guys that I think that could already be mentioned for MVPs? Tyreek Hill is having a hell of a year. Certainly Tua is. Micah Parsons is all over the field. And he's having a hell of a year. I mean, if you talk about 3 early front runners possibly for an MVP, we could talk about those candidates, and 2 of which come out of one franchise,
I think that's exactly right. And, what we saw last year was Mike McDaniel structuring an offense to perhaps cater to what Tua does well, get the ball out quickly, be sort of a point guard type of quarterback, distribute it a little bit. They've added some, schematic elements. Everybody that sort of watches and breaks down X's and O's and talks about game film and things like that, they're fascinated with that little burst motion they're using in Miami where, it's that quick little short motion to the outside. It almost gives you a run and head start. Patriots defensive backs in the lead up to that game Sunday night were saying it's like playing in the Canadian Football League. They're giving these guys a head start, a running start. And, it's one thing when it's, your average NFL receiver. It's another thing when it's Tyreek Hill getting that little bit of a head start. And so that offense is explosive, dynamic, creative, and it's allowed Tua to grow even more as a passer. And so I think right now you probably stack them Tua, Tyreek, Micah. But Micah Parsons has a tremendous case already, certainly for defensive player of the year, but like you said, MVP, because a lot of what we're seeing out of Dallas starts with that defense. Dan Quinn has the ability with some of the players he has up front, along with Parsons, to give Parsons some favorable one-on-one matchups, move him around. You saw an early pressure on Zach Wilson where Parsons aligned outside the left tackle, but loops into the opposite A gap. When you've got a player with that kind of talent and explosiveness, that you can say, yeah, we're going to line you outside in this wide 9 over the left tackle, but loop into the opposite A gap and get home, and he can do it. That's tremendous talent. And so obviously a lot of football left to be played, but I think if you ask people to turn in their ballots right now, that might be 1, 2, 3.
The AFC North, we expected to be kind of a bloodbath between the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, possibly the Steelers making hay in that before it's all said and done. And things just haven't panned out that way. Cincinnati starts 0-2. The Ravens look good, but not great. Cleveland with Deshaun Watson, really, he's a shell of what he was when he was in Houston, and still has not really earned that contract. And then in Pittsburgh, where Matt Canada has taken a ton of heat as the offensive coordinator for his just goofy play calling, that was supposed to be a really good division. That's been almost one of the more disappointing divisions in football to this point, wouldn't you say?
I think it has been the most disappointing. And, obviously with Cleveland and Cincinnati playing each other week 1, you weren't going to get all the teams to 2-0, but that was an ugly game back in week 1. With Cleveland and Watson, that passing game has certainly struggled. Watson still seems like he hasn't quite settled into that offense yet. But look, he should be in that offense right now, and it hasn't quite happened yet. He seems tentative at times. The ball's coming out a step late at times. He had a throw in that game Monday night where ball's on the right hash, you're throwing it deep out to the right sideline. Like, that's not an overly taxing throw for an NFL quarterback. Amari Cooper's working. He's got like 6 yards of separation from Joey Porter Jr., but Porter's able to break on it and break it up. Pass comes out a step late, but that's a throw you expect an NFL quarterback to hit with ease. Watson's not hitting those kind of layups right now. And so, that's going to be a problem, particularly with the Chubb injury. And so what does that passing game look like going forward? Cincy's certainly interested because they had an 0-2 start last year. They lost in overtime to Pittsburgh in week 1, lost by another field goal in Dallas week 2, but they still managed to get to the playoffs. But this feels a lot different because you're 0-2 and you're 0-2 in the division. Burrow's banged up. We saw on Sunday against the Ravens, who have done over the past couple of years a great job with simulated pressure looks against Burrow to confuse him at times. He wasn't moving as fluidly as he usually does. He had one play where had a defender at his feet and was able to sort of step over him. But other than that, seemed banged up. They had a touchdown drive. He limps off the field, and now you're hearing that, maybe he's not going to be 100% anytime soon. Does he sit out this week? That's a difficult situation for that team right now. It's an 0-2 and 0-2 in the division, which is tough to overcome. And as for the Steelers, Matt Canada has sort of been the punching bag for all of their offensive woes recently, and I expect that to continue. The offense, doesn't seem as dynamic as it could be. He's doing some different things, motion scheme, formation, things like that aren't just quite working right now. It's a far cry from what we expected to see from this offense, particularly given how successful they were in the preseason. Now with that defense, as we saw the other night, it might be enough, but they're a bit of ways away from what we thought we were going to see from them coming out of the summer.
I'm going to take it to the NFC, and I'm going to say the very quiet team that nobody's talking about happens to be San Francisco, and the fact that Brock Purdy has not lost a regular season game. The fact that they're plus 30 when it comes to point differential, only behind the Dallas Cowboys. They finally beat the Rams, which is something Shanahan had problems with. And they're sitting 2-0 in that division. And while everybody picks them as one of the Super Bowl favorites, you talk about a team that's really not getting a lot of publicity and a lot of discussion right now. They just go out and get their job done, man. And that was with Bosa signing that contract and coming back.
Yeah, and I remember we talked about, and I kind of wondered, with Bosa signing late in a situation like that, is it going to lead to some tension? Is it going to lead to a slow start or something like that? And it's certainly not. And I think what's, we've talked about, over these shows, the time we've been doing them together, the different ways a team can win a football game, and the more ways you have at your disposal to win games, the better you are. And I think the Niners are a perfect example of that because we saw week one, everything's clicking. You win in a blowout, run game's clicking, Purdy's clicking, and you go, you win one run of the way. They can win blowouts against a team like the Steelers, which, as we said, has a very good defense. Then last week, like you said, they've had their struggles with the Rams. Sean McVay seems to have, Kyle Shanahan's number a little bit, and it's a bit tougher game than you expect. Purdy's a little off, missed some throws, had some opportunities for some big plays, didn't quite connect on those. And you find a way to win an ugly one-score game. You can win big. You can win by small margins. You can win blowouts, putting up lots of points. You can win with that defense and some of the, if you get a 17-14 rock fight, they can win that kind of game too. They're an absolutely complete football team. I think part of the reason that they are, as you said, Bill, flying under the radar is the excitement over the Cowboys and what we're seeing from them. And let's be honest, look, points and touchdowns and creative offensive stuff gets everybody excited. Speaking of the Dolphins, this Niners team is a complete football team. And they've gotten off to a very good start. Going into the year, a lot of people said, 1 through 52, this is the best roster in football, but Purdy's a question mark. We still don't know. Is he going to have that same magic? Seems to have it through 2 weeks. If I were another NFC team, I do not want to see, or any other football, NFL team for that matter, I do not want to see the Niners on my schedule.
Talking with Mark Schofield, SB Nation. Before we get out of here, obviously got to get to the NFC North. Packers 1-1, and I think the reason Packers fans are so upset is because that was a very winnable game down in Atlanta this past weekend. Any play that they could have had, whether it was the drop to interceptions, it was the delay of game penalty that could have cost them the field goal, which could have given them the win, Rashawn Gary crashing the edge and allowing Ritter to get in. Any one of those plays, they turn around and win that ball game. And they could be coming back to Lambeau Field at 2-0. Give me your assessment of what you've seen out of Green Bay in the first couple of contests.
Yeah, I think I understand why Packers fans are disappointed after Sunday because that was certainly a winnable game. As you alluded to, there are a number of moments in that game where, you just get one play that goes a different way and you probably leave Atlanta, like you said, 2-0. But I still think that, what we saw, in week one from this team, even at times with this offense on Sunday in a game that you lost, I thought Jordan Love still played extremely well. Yes, there are things to clean up, protection-wise, and maybe getting some guys back up front will be a big help in that regard. This is a very good football team. And, the NFC North on the whole had a bad weekend. And so, you bounce back from it. But I still think that the Packers are a very good football team. I've been impressed so far with Jordan Love. It just goes to show you what we saw Sunday. That narrow margin between winning and losing in the NFL is so razor thin at times. It just takes one play, and coaches preach this all the time. You don't know what's going in or in the moment which play is going to be the one that decides a game, but you'll know after. And that's what we saw Sunday. But this is still a very good team. I've been impressed with Love so far. I think the offense is rolling for the most part. Got to clean some protection things up, and injuries might have a role to play there. But I'm not too worried about the Packers right now. I think there are teams in the North, Minnesota at 0-2. Certainly we've talked about the Bears that have a lot more to worry about with what they've got going on than the Packers do sitting here at 1-1.
Great stuff, Mark, as always. We certainly appreciate it, and we'll talk again next Wednesday, okay?
Sounds great, Bill. Thanks so much.
All right, buddy.
Have a great day, and enjoy the games this weekend.
Absolutely. There you go. Mark Schofield, SB Nation. You can find him at Mark Schofield, SCHOFIELD, at Mark Schofield from SB Nation, breaking down the NFL and talking to us each and every Wednesday. Love getting his takes. Love getting his takes. Good stuff. This portion of the program being brought to you by our good friends over there at Steel Tank Brewing. Steel Tank Brewing in Oconomowoc, right behind the Exonia Bank off of 67. They're open for lunch, great stuff, but the music venue is about ready to open. It's getting close, my friends. And as soon as it does, I'll let you know, and I'll let you know the first band that's going to christen that place, but I'm looking forward to it. Steel Tank Brewing in Oconomowoc. They're going to have great music, great bands, but even more so, they got terrific food. So stop in and check it out, whether it's for lunch or for dinner, or you just want to go in to watch a game on a weekend, whatever it happens to be. That's our friends at Steel Tank Brewing in Oconomowoc. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. Talking some misery in the South Side coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
What advice would you give somebody that that's window shopping?
I'd have to say Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin plays at an MVP level in the replacement game. They came in ahead of time, measured all the windows, make sure they had all of the measurements. When the Pella people left, You had no idea they had been here. You just had the new window. They're great professionals, Gina, and some of the best in the world at what they do.
Right now, pay as low as $19 a month per window or $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today. Pella's team of expert installers start with an in-home consultation and finish with no hassle or mess, leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, pay as low as $19 per window and $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today.
$6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offers end 9/30/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you, the Bill Michaels Show. We continue on, and we want to talk a little bit about. We'll take the focus off of Green Bay and the Brewers, and the Badgers, and such, and we're going to just kind of roll around in the misery that is down in Chicago, where I know we got a lot of Bears fans that listen to the program. Whether it's we got a lot of fans of Minnesota too that listen to the program, depending on the western portion of the state of Wisconsin. But I know Bears fans pay attention because they listen to their own stuff, and then they listen to the Packers stuff and hope for the Packers misery to happen. And right now, though, down in Chicago, it's pretty ugly, for lack of a better term. It just is. So, Grant, what misery is being spewed today down in that windy city?
So I'm just looking at a Twitter thread from Dan Wiederer. He tweeted, "My jaw's on the floor right now. Just a head-spinning morning on 920 Football Drive. A quick recap." So this is the first tweet. This is probably the mildest of any of them. Bears left tackle Braxton Jones is heading to IR with a neck injury. It could potentially be season ending. The Bears would like to keep Darnell Wright where he is, but are having discussions on whether to move him to left tackle. So what's happening? Their O-line's already beat up. They got backups playing, none of them playing particularly well. Their left tackle's hurt. So now the rookie, the guy they just drafted, they might have to move him and switch positions. That's never something you want to do with a young player, right? You never want to move a rookie around. So that's thing number one. The O-line sucks. And we saw that week one, Bill.
Right.
Terrible.
Completely agree.
Thing number, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I mean, there's nothing good right now that you can really pull out of the Chicago Bears organization. I mean, there just isn't. They look bad. Their quarterback looks bad. The coaching looks bad. I mean, just so many different areas that just look bad right now for the Bears. Just look bad.
So Alan Williams, their defensive coordinator, I don't know if it was before week one or just after week one, left the team for personal reasons. I think it was after the Packers game. So he wasn't on the sideline, hasn't been around the team. He's been away from the team. The tweet says, "The situation continues to get more mysterious with Matt Eberflus declining to give an update or clarity on any part of it, including whether or not Williams is still employed as the defensive coordinator." They asked him directly, is he still employed as the defensive coordinator? And Eberflus, no comment, gave nothing.
Wow. How do you not say whether or not your coordinator's there? That's almost embarrassing.
Well, if he is there and he's still employed, I would think he would just say so.
Right?
When you plead the fifth, when you say no comment, we're left to assume it's because you don't have an answer, or it's because you don't have an answer
or you haven't officially made an answer. So,
or you don't know, which might be worst of all.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's awful.
So lastly, Justin Fields, he says he's been playing too robotic, then bit the pin off the grenade and rolled it into the building with his explanation for why he believes it is that way. Quote, coaching. So Justin Fields is saying, I'm playing like dump and it's because of the coaches.
Oh, wow.
Not great. Yeah. That's the biggie.
Oh, my God. So
I'm going to try to find the audio just to make sure we're grasping the full scope of that.
He's blaming Luke Getsy, in essence.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's Eberflus or Getsy, whoever's calling the plays, but wow.
So I have a minute and 40-second clip. This is the answer. I think it's more than one question and answer, but it's about his playing about the coaching. Do you want me to play it? It's a minute 40.
Play it. We're all smiling. Play it.
Yeah, no kidding. Here's Justin Fields.
About this multiple times, you know, nobody's going to take anything personal. You know, if the coaches say, you know, we need to play better, we need to play better, I need to play better, I'm not taking that personal because, you know, I think everybody in here knows that I need to play better, including myself. So, you know, they're not going to take it personal if, you know, us as players go to them and say, yo, I didn't like this call, or, you know, they need to be better. So, you know, we're all grown men in the building, and we all can take it. So, you know, it's about, you know, working with each other, getting each other better, holding each other accountable, and working towards the same goal. So, in terms of that fact, yeah, I think, you know, everybody can do better around here, you know, including myself. So,
just maybe as an extension of what you're talking about on the strip sack in the second quarter, if you had that play,
exactly. I'm leaving. I'm gone. You know, time clock. I'm gone out of the pocket. That's why that happened, because I'm just, you know, they wanted me to work on staying in the pocket, you know, during the off season, which, you know, there's times where you do, but when that internal clock goes off, that's when you need to get out and extend the play, make a play. So, yeah, so it's just kind of like taking their coaching, and then there's always going to be like, you don't have to always, I guess it's not going to work out perfectly every time. So yes, there's times where I could have stayed in the pocket, but like in that play that specifically, like I was in the pocket for a long time. So I got to, you know, extend the play, get out of the pocket, extend the play, and, you know, do something with it, you know, make something shake. So that's kind of what I'm talking about, though, and kind of, you know, getting back into my game and, you know, becoming more of a football player than, you know, such a thinker on the field. So.
Wow. I'm going to look to find more of that. And I want to see if he talks. I think that conversation continues, but
so
not exactly great.
You know what's really weird is it's like they sat and watched Get Up. Like he watched Get Up and he watched Good Morning Football. That's what it sounds like. Because that's exactly what the guys on Get Up and Good Morning Football were saying. Was he's not they're trying to make him a pocket passer to protect him and this and that, and he's not smart. He's better on the run and he makes better decisions, and and so he's just saying they want me to be in a pocket and I got to have a better clock on my head, and and he's right in the sense that he can run, he can be an asset, but they're also trying to get him to be a passer. And his first instinct is to tuck and run. And you are not going to have longevity in this league with that mentality. And so I understand what Getsy and Eberflus are trying to do. The problem is, as was stated to us in the press box, he's not smart. The terminology was he's not going to be attending any Mensa meetings anytime soon, which made us laugh. But he's not a smart quarterback. He's got to be a guy that creates with his legs. Get the clock in your head. If you don't have the clock in your head in 2 seconds, go. Off you go. 1, 2, bang, go. And then take off and throw the ball as you go. And that's where he's better. And he's just basically saying, no, they don't want to let me do that. They want to make me into something else, and it's coaching. Oh, my God. Wow. Yeah, they got some problems down in Chicago. Their quarterback.
So here's a comment about. Yeah, sorry, Bill. Here's a comment about him thinking and needing to, I don't know, not think as much. Here's the direct question and answer.
What do you think was causing you to think so much, maybe think too much?
Could be coaching. But at the end of the day, it makes it, they're doing their job when they're giving me, what to look at, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I can't be thinking about that when the game comes. I prepare myself throughout the week, and then when the game comes, it's it's time to play free at that point. So just thinking less and playing more.
Hey, Justin, this is weird, Bill. This is a weird situation.
Yeah, just bizarre.
And they play the Chiefs coming up this week. I don't think it's on a short week. I think it's on Sunday. I don't know who plays Thursday Night Football tomorrow night. Let me double check. Going into Kansas City. This could get really ugly really quick if they go into Kansas City and they get blown out. Remember what happened in 2014 with Mark Emery and Mark Trestman when they were running the Bears, and they came into Green Bay on Sunday night and got lit up by 40 points.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel bad for Bears fans.
Yeah. I don't, but I do.
I don't, but I do. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Just so bad in so many different ways. I will say this. I feel pretty much a lot better about where the Packers are right now. Sitting at 1-1, and at least they know the direction of their team and they know what's going on. I mean, it may seem a little disheveled at times and a lot of things that you can point at, but that in Chicago is a plane that has lost its engine and it's on fire, careening towards the earth. That is, it just looks already like it's circling and it's on fire and it's ready to come crashing down. It just does. Oof. That is so bad. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. Remember, Richard says, remember when they were talking about the possibility of Justin Fields being an MVP? Right. Oh my God. Hey, I'll tell you who is. This is the reason we get paid the big bucks when it comes to segues of radio. Who is the MVP? It's our buddy Dwayne from Dwayne's Cover It All in Wausau. And if you are looking for a boat cover, for an awning for your business, maybe some upholstery work that needs to be done on your furniture, or maybe you want to get something recovered, whatever it happens to be, awnings, gym equipment, office furniture, so much more. But boat covers, especially this time of year, check out our buddy Dwayne, DUANES, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That is Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. Or just call him 715-870-2119. 715-870-2119. Great stuff. Great work. I took the RV up there because there was an actual hole that was torn in the RV. And it was not good. And I wanted to get it repaired before I sent the thing back. And he had that thing repaired, and you could not tell where it was. It was spectacular. the work that they did up there. Just amazing. And they can do so many different things. That's Dwayne's, DUANES, Dwayne's CoverItAll.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back, the Bill Michaels Show. As we continue on, got to say thanks to our friends at Buzzard Billy's out in La Crosse. Love Buzzard Billy's, you know that. I've talked about them for quite some time now. And not only is it a great place, whether it's to go eat or such, but also when you start talking about upstairs at the Starlight Lounge, it's even better. So whether it's Buzzard Billy's or the Starlight Lounge, either place you can't go wrong. Both places absolutely spectacular. That's Buzzard Billy's downstairs on Pearl Street in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Starlight Lounge upstairs for the martinis and such, the specialty martinis. Love that place. Cocktail Lounge. And it just looks like the Rat Pack's going to come pouring out of the back of that place and start carooning songs at that point. But nevertheless, great stuff from our friends at Buzzard Billy's in the Starlight Lounge. Love that place. Got a couple of different things. First of all, I know that Matt LaFleur had talked a little bit, and I don't know if you're following along, but Matt LaFleur talked a little bit about some of the injuries. You've got the elbow issue going on with Lucas Van Ness right now. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur and such coming up here in just a little bit. I know that a lot of people covering it. Aaron Jones did warm up with the team inside with the helmet on, but did not come outside for the start of practice today that was open with reporters. Christian Watson back at practice today. David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, nowhere to be found. Just an FYI. We were all waiting for David Bakhtiari to say something, but nowhere to be found. But Christian Watson went through the individual drills with Aaron Jones, but Aaron Jones did not, by the way. So Christian Watson back at practice. Aaron Jones did not go through the individual drills, was taking some time off. There is, quote, the rehab group that they call it, to David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins, both those guys there. And one other note, Lucas Van Ness took part after getting his elbow checked out earlier in the week. He did take part in practice today. So that's good news. Good news when it comes to the injuries for the Green Bay Packers. So, and as you know, many people, Wes Hotkowitz and Spofford and everybody saying, good to see Christian Watson back in the practice field for the Packers today, wearing the black sleeves on his right leg, and Lucas Van Ness also practicing. So getting both of those guys back would be a nice boon to this team, both offensively and defensively. And Aaron Jones goes through the stretching, but David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins not to be found. So there you go. There you go. 877-867-1670. Diana says, what do you pay Christian Watson when the end of his contract comes up and he can't stay on the field? Well, Diana, you don't. I mean, for every game that he's missing. Now, granted, he's only in the second year of his rookie deal. But, Diana, you don't. If he cannot, over the next couple of years, if he cannot stay healthy and cannot participate, I mean, you don't pay him anything. You you'd hate to say it, but you most likely, cut him loose if the guy can't. I mean, the old adage is you can't make the club in a tub. And if he's only going to be available for 6, 7, 8 games a year, he's not worth it. Or you pay him very little. You pay him very little. But beyond that, I mean, right now, I wouldn't pay Christian Watson anything. Because like Puxatawny Phil coming up to see a shadow every year, you know that Christian Watson's going to have a hamstring issue. He missed most of training camp last year. Then he came back, got nicked up again. Then when he came back, he started to play pretty well, and he showed progress. But then again, this year to start the season, here we go again. Hamstring issue again, can't play, can't get on the same page early on with the quarterback. And, so right now, not much. Not much. This is from Ben. Ben says, hey, Bill, If the offensive line is already this nicked up, does this make Brian Gutekunst look like a genius for keeping so many offensive linemen? I don't know about a genius, but I'll say this, and we said this at the earlier, when they started talking about the roster. You keep the best. And if you have a plethora of at one position, I remember, some years ago when I think it was Devontae Adams' rookie or second year, and it was Jordy Nelson was coming to the end of his career, and it seemed like they had a lot of guys. They had like 6, 7 wide receivers. It's like, how many guys are they going to keep? And I said, you just never know, and all of a sudden, boom, Jordy goes down, boom, James goes down, boom, Devontae goes down, boom, and you were down to, backups to the backups to the backups, so you can never have too many good players. You just keep the best players. And if you have 20 offensive linemen, look at already, you've got 2 guys that are already down. So you're going with Royce Newman and Rasheed Walker and moving around John Runyon and Zach Tom and Yosh Nijman. And, you're moving these guys around already. So you've already, out of your 5 reserve players, you're using 2 of them. You're down to 3 leftover offensive linemen. That's it. So you went from having this dearth and embarrassment of riches to, Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins both nicked up, and now you're gonna need a backup. So you just always keep the best. You just always keep the best players, because you just never know when you're going to need them. No doubt. What else do we have here? This is from Bill. Bill says, I watched Jordan Love again, and I see some indecision. Do you think that's going to come with time? Some of the passes he's just a little bit late on. Is it something that's recognition, or as you said, the quote synapse between the brain and arm, end quote? That's from Bill. No, see, I'll say this. I've seen, and that I've been hard on Jordan Love. I've been impressed. Now, the terminology and the miss on 4th and short and the quarterback sneak that looked embarrassing, I'll give you that. Not being able to connect continuously downfield, having some overthrows, not liking that. But some of the things that I have seen that makes me believe that maybe things are going to get better and continue on in a positive direction is he's thrown some really good balls into windows where the receiver had not even turned around yet. He's thrown some really good timing plays, more specifically down in Chicago than in Atlanta, but he's thrown some really good balls. He's been able to, he's had the clock in his head, and he's got 6 touchdowns and no picks. Now I don't want to, knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it, but he really, other than the one throw, maybe 2, but really one specific throw this past weekend that he put in harm's way, he's been pretty good with the football too. He's kept it in areas where only his guys could get it. And so there's something to be said for that. I like what I've seen. I'm not blown away. I'm not like, hey, I'm going to eat my words, nothing like that. But if it continues to progress and get better, then I'll be excited. I'm also excited to see him now as the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers come back to Lambeau Field with a crowd behind him. Playing in that dome on Sunday, that was a tough place to play. Loud place to play. So I'm anxious to see him come back home and to see what the next 3, 4, 5 games hold for him. Because we talked about it. We'll know after 3 or 4 games what he's got, right? So here comes your first home game. Then your next one is going to be a quick turnaround on Thursday night against the Lions. So it's going to be back-to-back games at Lambeau Field. And then you don't play at home again on a Sunday until mid to end October. So the schedule's a little bit disjointed, but I'm excited to see the progression. I really am. 877-867-1670. Hit us up if you want to chime in. Go ahead and give us a shout. We'd love to hear from you. By the way, this portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. Good people over there at Curly's, home of the Big Porker. And I know they've got a big weekend coming up this weekend again, and they've got some charity stuff going on. So check them out on Facebook. Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. It's on Pewaukee Lake, Lakeview Boulevard. Great people, great place, good food. And whether it's the pig porker sandwich, the wraps, or that spectacular chef salad that they have, it's all good over there at Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Say, hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Good to have you. It's a good day today. I'm excited. Just am. Welcome back. I got another hour yet to go. Mike Clemens going to be giving us a buzz coming up here in a little bit. Packers back in the practice field today. No Bakhtiari, no Elton Jenkins, Aaron Jones going through a little bit of a walkthrough, and that's about the extent of it. Lucas Van Ness is back. Christian Watson back. So a lot of news up in Green Bay upcoming from Mike coming up here in just a little bit. The Bears quarterback, 23 QBR through 2 games. Worst in the league. Thrown 66 passes in their first 2 games. Not something he has shown he can handle in his so far in his career. Not good. Now blaming it on coaching. Meanwhile, in our own backyard, Jordan Love, 6 touchdowns, no picks. Now, you get a little more real with all of this, okay? You have the 0 interceptions, but the biggest question about the most, that most people ask when it comes to him as far as starting quarterbacks goes is whether they can take care of the ball. Love has taken care of the ball so far. He said before the season that he's willing to take care of the checkdowns if necessary, not force the ball, and he's done just that. And at some point, though, as we all know, as it states here in this article, he's got to start throwing some deep balls. But that's about the only thing missing right now from his game. according to Rob Domofsky. Is the fact that, and this is something that we were just talking about a little while ago. This just came out over on the 4-Letter Network website. In the meantime, the Minnesota Vikings, they committed 7 turnovers, and they are -6 in turnover margin right now. 7. The first team since 2003 to lose 6 fumbles in the first 2 games of the season, putting them on track to tie the NFL record for fumbles per game. 36 in 12 games. By the 1959 Chicago Cardinals. But there have been scores of studies that show fumble recoveries are a random event. So even if their pace of fumbles continues, history tells us that recovering some of them will minimize some of that damage. But nevertheless, the fact that they have not been able to hang consistently onto the football has been something that teams have focused on, and now they're going to just be punching the hell out of the football from here on out because they know that that's become a problem. Meanwhile, the Detroit Lions didn't take long for Jared Goff to really kind of establish trust in his rookie tight end, whom Detroit picked up in the second round. Their chemistry developed. That's with Sam Laporta, by the way, developed in training camp, and Laporta proved himself early, which is why he has 102 receiving yards in his first couple of games. The chemistry with him and Goff makes that team even offensively that much more dangerous. And it's going to play a pivotal role as he continues to impact that offense and make them bigger and better and stronger. And Detroit tied at 1-1 with the Packers at this point for the top spot in the division. But the NFC North, for the Lions supposing to have this very strong hold on the top spot, the Vikings look bad. The Bears look awful. I think it's almost a certainty that they're going to end up the bottom feeder again in the NFC North. Might be the worst in the NFC and maybe in the entire National Football League at this point in time. But very quietly, could the Green Bay Packers be a team that's contending at least for a wild card spot and or the top spot in the division? Some are asking that question out loud, with the Vikings being as turnover prone as they are and offensively inept at this point, which I just find fascinating because I really thought that the loss of Dalvin Cook would not hurt them, and it clearly has. And the fact that Adam Thielen is not there, and Adam Thielen wanted the ball more, and he, kind of made his feelings known. And Justin Jefferson, we all know, is such an incredibly quality wide receiver. I thought for sure that they wouldn't miss a beat, but they have. And defensively, we knew they weren't better, but they're right now, man, the turnovers are killing them, and that's just not a great football team. But could the Green Bay Packers actually, we'll find out more on Thursday night, a week from tomorrow for sure. But the Packers have the Saints coming to town, and then they've got the Lions. And that may be a preview as to the battle for the top spot in the NFC North, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, that's the way to do it. Let's see here. This is from Jason, who said, did you hear that Mount Rushmore is getting a Quick Trip? I did not. I know that they're putting a Quick Trip in South Dakota, but there's 4 of them going in, and it's it's closer to Minnesota. It's just on the outside border of Minnesota than it is, from what I understand, in the Mount Rushmore area. Maybe they do. Who knows? Maybe they do. I don't know. But I did hear that Sioux Falls is getting a couple of them, and I don't know specifically where else. But that's great because what is it? I think it's Worthington, Minnesota, which is on the I-90 beltway across the top. Worthington, Minnesota is kind of like the last bastion of Quick Trip. So as you're going I-90 out of Minnesota, there's Worthington. There's a little town called, I can't remember. It's Laverne. And then you get across the border into Sioux Falls. Now, I know in Sioux Falls they were putting one, but I didn't know they were putting one at the opposite end, out there in the Badlands, so to speak, out near Mount Rushmore. So did not hear that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and give us a shout. We got coming up in the next hour, Mike Clemens going to be joining us. We'll talk with Mike for a segment about David Bakhtiari and everything else that's swirling up in Green Bay. We'll get his thoughts on all of that. And then coming up tonight, we've got the huddle. The huddle's back for another week. And tonight back in studio, but tonight we're going to be bringing you everything that goes on up in Green Bay today, because later practice today and press conferences and locker room and such. So we're going to go through the NFL. We're going to make our picks. We're going to be here for all of that coming up this evening, but also we'll talk with Mike Clemens coming up tonight as well on the huddle, with more so from inside the locker room. But coming up here in about 20 minutes, we're going to talk with Mike, and we want to talk with him about, he wants to talk a little bit about Bakhtiari and all the speculation and such that's running rampant right now around Green Bay about the whole turf issue and such. So we'll get Mike's thoughts on that coming up here in just a little bit. This portion of the program, as we get to the top of the hour, we go to take a quick break. Brought to you by our friends over there at The Water Doctors, H2 the letter O doctors.com. That's H2 the letter O doctors.com. I got a Connecticut water softening system in my home, and I couldn't love it anymore if I had to. And the service that John Atley and the gang give is absolutely positively second to none. And if you were looking for a tremendous water softening system from a great company, it doesn't matter where in the state of Wisconsin you're at, 262-549-7733. 262-549-7733. Ask for John, and he can help you out. But also, they're huge when it comes to giving back to veterans and veterans causes, and also a big supporter of Fisher House, Wisconsin. So we can't say thanks enough to them, but that's the Water Doctors. Go to H2, the letter O, doctors.com, and the water softening system they sell, they rent, is called Connecticut. It is the best, hands down. Another hour of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers are back in the field for practice today as they get ready for their home opener on Sunday against the 2-0 Saints. New Orleans has won its first two games by a combined 4 points, with wins over Tennessee at home and at Carolina on Monday night. They own one of the better defenses in the league, while the offense is led by former Raiders quarterback Derek Carr. The Packers, meanwhile, have scored the most points for the first 2 weeks of the season. They'll be looking to bounce back after blowing a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter at Atlanta. Turning to the Badgers, they're going to head to Purdue tomorrow. It's where they'll open up Big Ten play on Friday night. Playing on a short week is new for Wisconsin, but safety Hunter Wohler says the situation they're walking into is something they're looking forward to.
Night games, I think, are always amped up a little bit more. It's prime time. It's under the lights, big crowd. We're going into the defending Big Ten West champions house. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great challenge. It's a great opportunity to go out and play the game. And, we execute, we do the things we need to do. It'll be a fun night for us.
Badgers are 2-1. Purdue comes in 1-2. Kick on Friday is at 6.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
They believe in protecting the families and children in our farming communities. Kids love to be included in the daily farm activities, but accidents can happen quickly. Reduce the chance of injury by making sure your farm is a safe environment for adults and kids. Learn more at ruralmutual.com.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers' magic number to clinch the NL Central is at 6. That's after they took care of St. Louis last night, 7-3. They'll face the Cardinals again tonight. First pitch is at 6:45. And the Wisconsin basketball team released its full schedule yesterday. It includes a difficult 3-game stretch to open up December against Marquette, at Michigan State, and at Arizona. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show. Hour number 4. And we continue on. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Love to hear from you. as always. So if you want to give us a shout, you can. We'd take your comments and such. Give us a shout, get you on the air, or you can continue following us over on. You can follow us on the live stream, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or what have you. You can always email the program as well. thebillmichaels@gmail.com. thebillmichaels@gmail.com. So there you go. Good stuff. Let's see here. What else do we have? We got all kinds of stuff. Dennis says, as we all know, LaFleur loves analytics. Maybe we can use analytics to get him to wake up and admit that the facts prove that Joe Barry is incompetent with zero chance of improving. Hopefully the facts will convince him to immediately fire Barry. Somebody reading this, please have an analytics geek analyze the following. Barry has been incompetent, low-rated defensive coordinator his entire career. What are the odds that this year he's going to transform a defense into a top 10 as far as the defensive coordinators go? Also, his run defense while in Green Bay has been pathetic at best. What are the odds that this year he's going to transform the run game defense into a top 10 unit? I doubt that either are going to happen. I think we can all agree that Barry is becoming a top-level defensive coordinator, or him developing into a top 10 defensive coordinator is astronomical. What's sad is that LaFleur was presented with the odds against Barry or his defense improving, and we already know the answer. So you think there's a chance. If LaFleur keeping Barry wasn't so embarrassing to the team and organization, it would be funny. That is from Dennis. Dennis, appreciate the email. The defense right now is ranked, I think, like 18th. 17th or 18th when I looked at it via Pro Football Focus through the first couple of weeks. Better against the pass than the run. And now I have not sat down and I was going to do that later on today, but I have not sat down with every grade and, premium statistics, so to speak. But I do know one thing. When you look at the defense overall right now, the Green Bay Packers rank 17th. Just kind of giving you some of the statistics here. The Green Bay Packers rank 17th. They rank 25th against the run. 25th against the run. When it comes to their pass rush, they're 10th overall. They're getting pressure, and they have gotten some sacks. When it comes to their coverage, Packers pass coverage, they are ranking 9th right now in the National Football League. So overall defense, they rank 17th. And their run defense, which was their Achilles heel last year, ranks them at 25th overall in the National Football League. And you look at some of the defenses, oddly enough, Indianapolis has the best run defense right now, as graded out by Pro Football Focus, followed by the Eagles, the Ravens, the Falcons, the Jaguars, the Cowboys, the Jets, the Patriots, the Cleveland Browns, and the Tennessee Titans. So the sad part about it is the Chicago Bears, their run defense is pretty solid. They ranked 11th overall. The Bears, defensively speaking, overall are ranked 25th. Now, offensively, when you look at some of these teams and you think, okay, where do the Packers mix in? Because they got to be better offensively. Actually, they're not. They're ranked 18th overall. 18th. 18th overall, the Packers are. Right now, they are ranked 24th in the pass game. 24th. And when it comes to running the football, the Packers are ranked 20th. 20th in running the football. So when you got a team that's ranking below 15th in both sets of categories, you are what you are. You're 1-1, and you're trying to struggle to get back to the top spot, and you're going to have much better performances. But I'll say this, again, this goes back to the Joe Barry analytics. What you don't account for is a dropped interception by Quay Walker, a dropped interception by, Jair Alexander, a complete overrun of the play by Rashawn Gary that allows Ritter to run into the end zone. So there are some gaffes there that you can look at. But when you're getting gashed in the run game consistently, and you're looking at a guy like Bijan Robinson, and everybody wants to talk about Bijan Robinson being a tremendous running back, and I'm not arguing that point. But when you're running two defensive tackles out there and you're spreading them out between the guards and the tackles, and the middle of the field is kind of left vacant, and that's where Bijan Robinson is running, you don't need to be a mathematician or a defensive coordinator to go, if you don't have anybody there, you're not going to stop the run. So philosophically speaking, yeah, there are some issues with Joe Barry's defense, but just a little perspective. That's all. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Thomas says, let's see here. He said, how great would it be? How great would it be if the Packers were in the competition for the division near the end of the season, after all that has happened in the last couple of seasons, to compete for the division and know that you have a good NFL quarterback would be amazing. It would be fantastic if that happened. It would be awesome. Michael says so many people are so hard on Joe Barry. He is not the one out there missing tackles. No, but that's not consistent. You can look at things philosophically speaking, Michael, and just say, okay, that's just not right. That's not what I would be running. Now, as Matt LaFleur put the other day in his Monday presser, he said, look, we were in this particular defense and they checked out of it. They checked out of what they were going to do. We had the good defense called for what it is they were going to run, but they checked out of it. So I understand that. But, it's always been a chess game. Sometimes you just got to put players in positions to make plays, and then it's up to the players. I 100% agree with you. And I really think, okay, at this point, you also then begin to ask yourself, you've got Devontae Wyatt second year, Quay Walker second year, Kenny Clark, he's been a Pro Bowler, right? TJ Slayton, he was kind of a college free agent. They picked him up, big-bodied guy. They liked him, put him in the middle. Okay, not a bad way to go. He was actually, I think, what was it? He wasn't a college free agent. I think he was like, what, a 5th-round draft choice, something like that. But he wasn't a highly touted guy. You got Colby Wooden and Carl Brooks. Your backups on the defensive front are rookies. Okay, they're rookies. Lucas Van Ness is a rookie, right? Ingabari was a 5th-round draft choice, backing up Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary being a first-round guy. We all know the first-rounders that are on this team. You just wonder how good the first-rounders are and if this team has the talent that you expect it to have. That's where you start. If you really believe that you have talent, then you have to go and say, okay, if we've got all the talent in the world, then why is the talent not coming together? That's when you start to look at coaching, right? But you've got, 5, 6 rookies, defensively speaking. You've got Colby Wooden and Carl Brooks, Van Ness, Carrington Valentine, who played really well as a 7th-round draft choice, but still he's a 7th-round draft choice. Anthony Johnson Jr., also a 7th-round draft choice. And then the college free agent, Brenton Cox Jr. They picked him up. You got 6 guys on that defense that are all rookies. Everybody else that's there is been there. So you got to believe you've got talent on the field. And if it's not the talent on the field, then what do you look at? A guy that has to bring it all together. That's when you start to look at Joe Barry. So, I agree that it has to go hand in hand, and you can't blame Barry for everything. But he becomes really because of his track record, he was already coming into this situation with a target on his back, without a doubt. Let's go to Jerry. Jerry, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hi, Bill. I always do it through Facebook or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I'm doing it the old-fashioned way today. I'm calling in.
Okay.
Hey, my issue is with the Bears and Justin Fields, and before that, Mitch Trubisky. I mean, they take these young guys. I know they pay them a lot of money, but they throw them right to the wolves. There's no mentoring. They don't give them a little chance to, get caught up to the professional game. I know there's some exceptions to that, but most of these really good quarterbacks who make it out of the gate usually are surrounded by excellent offensive lines, receivers, etc. I think the Bears just keep making a mistake of throwing their guys to the wolves. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I would agree. I mean, there is a learning curve now. Also, it depends on the talent that you have. I appreciate the phone call. You bring in a guy like Joe Burrow, comes in and starts to have success. I mean, every quarterback struggle. Look at a guy like Peyton Manning. He was 3-13 his first year. quarterbacks struggle. And usually it's because they go to bad teams. And that's what Justin Fields did. He went to a bad team. He's coming in after a horrific display of quarterbacking by Mitch Trubisky, bad general managing, bad player personnel decisions. They had a defense that could have really won some games, and they just ignored, how good that defense was and kept sticking with a pathetic offense and a pathetic quarterback. So it's what in order for teams to get better, and I agree with you, when you throw these guys to the Wolves right away, it can be a detriment to them because they can lose their confidence. But you also find out really quickly what you have, and I'll be honest, I think sometimes, and this is between you and me, but I think sometimes these guys get caught up in, we need a quarterback. So you get into the quarterback sweepstakes. And in reality, there's one, maybe two that are really ready for the NFL. But because you need somebody, this is what you do. So this is how it happens. You bring in a quarterback. You draft a guy. Okay? He may not be the guy you wanted. He may not be the guy that everybody thought was the guy, right? So you draft a quarterback. And then what do? You go find a veteran. Some retread that had some success, that was a high draft choice, that's a veteran on his way out the door. He'd never achieved the level of success that he was supposed to have, right? Because you don't have it's very rare you have a Hall of Famer and you're drafting quarterbacks. So this is what happens. So you draft a quarterback to be your guy. He's your first round guy. Here it is. He's our guy. And then you go and find a quarterback who never had a lot of success to begin with, but he's a veteran because he's got a name. You bring that guy in, and then he struggles because he never had a lot of success in the National Football League to begin with. So what do the fans do? You got to play the first rounder, get him the experience. Let's start him now. And the organization has money invested in him, and so that's what you do. You throw him to the Wolves, only to find out that really the guy that you drafted, he's not much better because you didn't get the guy you wanted. Unless, of course, you're talking about a Joey Lawrence or you're talking about a Tua who took a little bit of time to kind of get it going. Some of these guys, it took a year or so. But what happens is then you stick with that guy. You not only did you find out that he really isn't the smartest knife in the drawer or doesn't have all the ability, but now you stick with him because he's a first-round draft choice. You stick with him, okay? He's got it. He's a first-round draft choice. He's got to pan out, right? No. The pathway to success in the National Football League is littered with first-round draft choices that were busts. And you reached on a guy that you had no business reaching on, no business taking because he was not the best available, but that was the position of most need. And you screwed the pooch there. So you take an organization down with that because you stick with the most important player on the field for far too long, and everybody else around him suddenly smells the stench of losing because this guy's not going to take us there. So you're just going through the motions and earning a paycheck. And suddenly it starts to deteriorate. And that's what happens. I know it. I lived it. I watched Cincinnati year after year after year after year take these guys, Jeff Blake and David Klingler. And then they thought Kajana Carter was going to be the running back that was going to take them there, and he was a bust. And then they finally started addressing the offensive line and giving the quarterback time to throw until they could finally find a quarterback. Then they got Joe Burrow. Then they picked up Burrow. They really hadn't had a quarterback since Boomer Esiason prior to that. But they were taking all these guys, number one guy. They were going to be the way. And that's what happens with bad organizations. That's what happens. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. I'm going to talk with Jake and Madison coming up here in just a few more. And we got Clemens coming up. We got a whole bunch of stuff happening. Stay tuned. We are not done. The Bill Michaels Show continues to rock on. All coming up, and it's coming up right after this. Stay tuned. We got more.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
What advice would you give somebody that that's window shopping?
I'd have to say Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin plays at an MVP level in the replacement game. They came in ahead of time, measured all the windows, make sure they had all of the measurements. When the Pella people left, you had no idea they had been here. You just had the new window. They're great professionals, Gina, and some of the best in the world at what they do.
Right now, pay as low as $19 a month per window or $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today. Pella's team of expert installers start with an in-home consultation and finish with no hassle or mess. leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, pay as low as $19 per window and $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today.
$6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offers end 9/30/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Bring him in now, our guy, Mike Clements, brought to you by our friends at the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Bay Motel, quiet, cozy, comfortable, only a mile from Lambeau Field, and a great place for a family stay. And maybe you're going up there for a weekend. They have home-style cooking 7 days a week, by the way, in the Bay Family Restaurant, which you can follow on Facebook and see all the delicious things that they kind of cook up. But call them 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441, or go online at baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com, and see everything for yourself right there. Good stuff. Mike Clements standing by, and I'll tell you this, Mike, a lot of speculation about David Bakhtiari and company. So, man, oh, man, anything you have at this point, I'm sure is interesting to everybody.
Okay, well, here's what I got going so far. We just got off the practice field, the Wednesday practice. Beautiful day outside. The team warms up inside the Don Hudson Center, and Aaron Jones is out there working out, warming up with the guys. And you say, oh, maybe Maybe he goes back. No, he just did warm-ups with a helmet and pants on, and then the rest of the team went out to start individual drills. And then when they start getting to scrimmaging, then the media is released. Christian Watson, though, we saw him make the transition and actually go out and catch some passes in the individual drills. Maybe he'll be limited. Rookie linebacker Lucas Van Ness, who had an elbow. They were looking at his arm during the game. He checked out okay. He probably would be full participation. And then the left side of your offensive line, David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins, they're in the rehab group. Jenkins with that sprained MCL that he suffered in the game against the Falcons. So let me take everybody through what's just happened the last couple of days. As you heard on Bill's post-game show, Matt LaFleur was miffed after that loss, and I can give you a couple of reasons why. First of all, everything that Matt told us and his coaches last week was point on. I mean, in terms of Robinson as a runner, what they were going to see from Desmond Ridder, things they like to do from the defense. Jesse Bates, a great player, and their game plan was spot on. And so for that game to slip away the way it did, and essentially he was our offense didn't get the ball enough in the second half of the game. And the Falcons had the ball for 78, 80 plays. And so he's miffed at Joe Barry, unable to stop that run in the second half. Another thing that is kind of an undercurrent, the Falcons fired his guy, Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn was the head coach of the Falcons, hired Matt LaFleur, who helped take, Matt Ryan, the quarterback, to an MVP season. They lost that game in the final minutes against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Dan Quinn got, 2 more tries at the plate, and Arthur Blank fired him and all of his staff. Because of that trip to the Super Bowl, Matt LaFleur was able to bail out and improve himself by going to the Rams with McVay and all that. But I know how much Dan Quinn means to Matt LaFleur, how much he learned under him. And so there's a little juice in that game. And so after the game, on your post-game show, here's what Matt LaFleur, what he was talking about after the game.
So Bakhtiari, was that turf?
No, I don't. I mean, we all know that Dave's been dealing with this, and so no.
So could this be a thing where he doesn't blame any?
You guys, I'm not going to get into that. Like, we all know this is 2 years now, so I'm not going to get into it. It's probably going to be like this from here on out.
Mike, that was very quick. I mean, he did not want to talk about that at all, which raised my eyebrow. I mean, normally he goes through all the different, discussions when it comes to, the injuries and such and why guys do or don't play. And he's very calm, cool, and collected. But the Bakhtiari thing seemed to really agitate him.
It did. And also, I got news for you. The media is sick and tired of talking about David Bakhtiari's left knee. But it's very interesting. It's got to be frustrating for a coach that you've now got this player. It's supposed to be in his prime, who hasn't practiced at all this month, but was able to go in the first game against the Bears, and he still does a great job. He is in fact, he's got left tackle down to a science, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he doesn't get beat. He doesn't get beat, even with this bad, outside left knee. And then though, after the game, as you pointed out the next day, there's this little tweet from his older brother, Eric. Eric Bakhtiari was a linebacker for the Titans and then the 49ers. And it was basically a, FU NFL on artificial turf. Well, what does that mean? Because, of course, it's turf inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Right.
So on the next day, then we go to LaFleur and say, okay, is there something going on here?
I'm sure this would be easier on you if Dave would have just talked to us and explained it after the game, but did he not play because it was a turf game or because he had a issue that popped up last week?
Well, his knee is injured and there was swelling, so.
That game's played at Lambeau Field. Is he able to play or not?
I don't believe so.
Just to clarify, is this
I'm not talking about it. That's it. That's just to clarify. I'm done talking about it.
about the knee? Like, was this?
I'm not talking about it.
And Mike, that's just very odd. I mean, he said, I believe so. The knee is injured. Okay, we all know that it's been injured. It's been problematic. That's the reason he sits out of practice. You're not telling us anything new. I mean, I know he says, I believe so. It sounds like he's struggling with words to come up to talk about this. And therefore, that's the reason he wants to shut it down, because he doesn't want to talk about it anymore, because there's something there that he can't say, right?
Right. So 1 minute he's saying, what we keep telling you, this is a day-to-day situation with this guy's knee. He made a joke a couple of weeks ago, quote, it's a fluid situation. And Bakhtiari said, yeah, I really appreciated that. We've talked to Dave more than ever before. I've had 20-minute conversations with him. I'll tell you, too, David Bakhtiari is getting to the point where, he knows this is his last year in Green Bay. He's not sure if he's going to be able to continue to play someplace else next year. He'd like to. He knows he wants to get a Super Bowl. We've talked a little bit about politics, just things that are going on in the country. And so there's a little whiff of that going on. But last week, a producer tipped me off to this. Hey, did you know that your boy Bakhtiari was just on Rich Eisen's show, and he sent me the tape, and we, had it on your show. And this is what David Bakhtiari was saying a week ago today, about 48 hours after his friend Aaron Rodgers had that cleat get stuck in the turf at MetLife Stadium and a torn Achilles. This is Bakhtiari a week ago today.
It's just something that's been weighing heavy on me. Playing this game for as long as I have. When I first got in the league, I didn't know any better. I was just excited to play and run around. And I think you hear now with multiple social media platforms and players actually having more of a voice, you're seeing them voice their displeasure with certain surfaces. There's definitely not need for it anymore. The only thing I can wrap my mind around it is aesthetically pleasing for TV, and it's borderline. It's a carpet that's nice to put platforms on so you can host other concerts and events easy and not have to clean up, and it's your bottom dollar better. But other than that, when we talk about the game and player safety, and if we keep advocating player safety and the importance of it, it's doing us a disservice. It sucks. No one enjoys playing on it. Everyone's too scared to talk about it. NFL, just be better, do something, be an advocate for us and help us out. I mean, you guys are the ones who keep on constructing these stadiums, and look at football for its origin. We played on grass in rainy days, in snow, in mud. It's fun. It's supposed to be meant to be on grass. Address it. Quit ignoring it and address it now, because if not, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. I think it's an ongoing conversation. I think it's one that the owners don't want to have, and I think the only way they do want to have it is during a collective bargaining agreement, and I personally don't think there's no place for that. Why would you even want to wait till then is my first plea out there. The second one is, of course, the owner's going to be like, well, if the players want it, then let's just not do anything and then let's get something for it. It's like, no, this is the betterment of everything for the game. You're making the game worse, jeopardizing all players. But even of that, you have your upper echelon of really what people come to see. And I put Aaron up in there. And then there's a lot of other guys who, I'm not going to sit here, I don't have it off the top of my head of the guys who have been injured playing on artificial turf, but like the quality of the game goes down when you don't have your elite players out there. Lionel Messi, any service he goes on to, they're going to usher out brand new grass for him. He is that amazing, and people want to go see greatness. So my whole thing is like, okay, now look at what we do for a living. It already is very chaotic and very violent. Why are we adding this extra element in there? It's the Wild West when it comes to those surfaces, and I think there's just no place for it. It's like, it's grass, man. Just use grass. I don't even understand why we're even still at this point. Like, it's football. Play it on grass, period.
Which I completely understand. I mean, I don't know if it's too late for some of these other places to do it, but I understand where he's coming from. With that much being said about the turf, with that much being said, like you said, when you had a conversation with him on Wednesday and he talked about it further there, you can understand why people raised an eyebrow when all of a sudden, he was seemingly fine on Wednesday, and then somewhere between Thursday, Friday, Saturday, he couldn't play anymore. And I take it back to the conversation you and I had coming out of Chicago, where he was kind of verbally wagging the finger saying, see, I told you guys, I'm fine. Just keep me healthy for Sunday. I can play. I don't need to practice. And then all of a sudden he can't play. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and here's another thing. When you're a player where Bakhtiari is at this point, it's possible some of the things that you say on the record, at your locker, after a game or whatever on NFL territory, you can get fined for. But when they come on your show, they do these podcasts, they do a show like that, they seem to have a little bit more leverage. And that's what he's also referring to, is that more players are going off campus to voice some of those concerns or grievances, if you will, whatever. Now, I'm telling you, it's a stretch for me to believe that David Bakhtiari would not be there for his guys if he could be. Okay, that's got to be the bottom line. But when you see these different messages going on, until he changes it, why he didn't play, and I can tell you, I was 10 feet away from him. I sent you guys a picture. Sunday morning, there he is. Like, we're shocked, just shocked.
Right.
And I think like 10 minutes before that, Rob Domofsky at ESPN had reported, because he'd been working on it in the morning, like somehow they knew early, long before the 90 minutes before the kick, the Bakhtiari was a no-go. If you're Matt LaFleur, whatever's going on, doctors, protest, whatever, this is one more damn rookie he's got to put on the field.
Right.
I mean, he is frustrated with the lack of veterans that they're giving him to play with, and he's got to put Rasheed Walker out. That's what's ticking off the head coach.
Mike, great stuff as always. We'll talk again tonight. I'm sure you're going to be inside the locker room. Do you expect to be able to talk to Bakhtiari today?
It's up to Dave. It's up to Dave.
Okay.
I don't think the spin doctors are at work here, but how about 6:30? Is that okay? I'll check in after practice for then.
Sounds great. We'll talk to you then, buddy.
Talk to you then. Bye-bye.
There you go. That's our buddy Mike Clemens joining us for a couple of minutes, brought to you by our friends at the Bay Motel Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable. And all you got to do is go to baymotelgreenbay.com, call them 920-494-3441. 920-494-3441. That's baymotelgreenbay.com. There you go. That's it. Interesting stuff from Mike Clemens. As he said, it's the spin doctors are not at work. It's now up to Dave to kind of put a stymie to all of this stuff. So we'll see what actually happens. Hey, if you are looking for something coming up, if you get into the holiday spirit, I just saw a friend of mine put up a Halloween tree, like a Christmas tree, but it's a Halloween tree. I kid you not. And then cannot wait for Christmas to get here. Slow your roll, man. I can't even wrap my brain around it yet, but there are people that are already making plans, and some plans would include great music. And if you're looking for really authentic Christmas stuff, maybe the Irish side of things, Irish Cultural Heritage Center, the ICHC, that's the place to go. Check out their entire lineup. But I'm looking forward to, and I know I'm looking way down the road, but as we start to turn the corner back into St. Patrick's Day, Cynthian is coming to town, and I can't wait for that, because that's going to be a blowout there. That's going to be an all-out just party at the ICHC. But if you're looking for great holiday stuff and something different maybe this year, go to ICHC.net. That's ICHC.net, or get a hold of our buddy Corey, 414-345-8800, 414-345-8800, and the Irish Cultural Heritage Center. A couple of segments to go. Stay tuned. More after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Couple of segments to go before we get out of here. Great stuff today. Thanks to Mike Clemens for joining us. Don't forget, coming up tonight, 6 to 8, it's going to be the Bill Michaels Huddle. We're going to be back at it. Hear a lot from inside the Packers locker room, the coaches and such. Also start to make our picks and look around the rest of the NFL, recap last week's game, look forward to this week's game. So a lot going on coming up tonight, 6 to 8 on many of these same stations and on YouTube, Facebook, and all that kind of good stuff. Marty says, where on YouTube? Marty, go there and subscribe. Go there and like us. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels, Michaels, Bill Michaels Show. And you can follow us. You can subscribe. And it's free. So I always say subscribe, and people go, oh, what does that cost? It doesn't cost you anything. Just click on subscribe or follow or whatever. And then just when we're on, just smash the like button, man. Smash it, pound it, eat it. Bang. Do all that kind of good stuff. And you're good to go. So thanks so much. This is Thomas says Love has A-Rod buried so far. Now, I know he's kind of got the LOL behind it, but it's like you're trying to will him to be better than Aaron Rodgers or a Hall of Famer or something in that sense. I just let it play out, man. Let it play out. We'll know. Take it easy. We'll know coming up what he's all about and what he's got. So I'm not overly concerned about it, but just kind of let it play out. I get what you're trying to say, but sitting at 1-1, pretty good defense, all that kind of different stuff. Yeah, is what it is. We'll see. Pac-Fan says, here's the thing about the field surfaces. How many stadiums are funded with public money? How many of these cities, counties, states that fund these stadiums are doing so after they were told the stadium won't just be used for 8 football games a season, and that when they put down a versatile field surface, they'll be able to host a lot more events throughout the year? That's true. But I think Miller Park probably, or American Family Field probably hosts the same amount as Lambeau. They're both natural grass surfaces. And you don't see big concerts coming in to say, areas. I mean, I know like even in Chicago, they have some concerts. Taylor Swift played there, and there's a couple of bigger bands that played there, but stadium tours are, man, that's, unless you get really big stoic names, you don't see a lot of those even anymore.
There's certainly a lot more events at US Bank than Lambeau or Soldier Field. That's a building that was designed with lots of things in mind, not just football, unlike maybe Soldier Field or Lambeau.
Correct. But that's also a dome. That's also a dome stadium, a dome place that you can do those bigger things there on the consistent. So maybe summertime, maybe you could do something like that at Lambeau if it was a different type of field surface, but they don't do a lot of them at American Family Field. Then again, it's not heated, not the way you'd like it to be. I mean, those stanchions that are out in left center and right center, those areas are open, so you're always going to get that brisk cold air in there, no matter what time of year it is. No matter how much you crank the heat up, it's still going to be cold in there. Yeah. I don't know. That's a great question. I mean, they still do it. My assumption is they play those stadium gigs either at, say, out in Phoenix at where the Cardinals play, which is State Farm Field or something like that now, or at Chase out there. I don't know. That's a great question. That's a great question. When you talk about the public funding side of things, how many more concerts and stuff they're going to get out of that? But I don't know. I just know that we don't see much, whether it's Camp Randall. And you would figure, look, if a big thing was going to come, that maybe Camp Randall might be the place to go on one of those type of surfaces, and they don't do it there. I don't know. That's a really good question. US Bank, they've been really good with. I agree with that. They do big tours, big country tours and such that go in there. Yeah, that's true. And he's right. Camp Randall doesn't sell the beer there on campus, so that's going to be out. So I don't know. That's a good question. Are they using MetLife Stadium a lot? Are they using, up in Buffalo? Are they using Buffalo's stadium a lot? Are they using, I'm trying to think of the other ones that actually, because Paycor, which is where Cincinnati is, and they just had the Taylor Swift concert, and then they do a jazz festival there over a couple of day period, but that's about it. It's not like they use that a lot down at Paycor. Well, that's a good question. I have to take a look at the overall use of some of these fields and stadiums as the reason why. But, I mean, remember back in the old day when it was the AstroTurf, where it was just the turf with a little bit of padding underneath it and then the concrete or the asphalt. Now, at least, it's supposedly a better and softer and more versatile surface and such. And God, they have turf field in Seattle, turf field in New England, I mean, you can start to go through this list of fields. Whew, there's a lot of them, man. You have to rip up a lot of them if you're going to go to all grass. It's a good point. We'll wrap things up. We'll talk about that coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show. Stay tuned.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
What advice would you give somebody that you know that's window shopping?
I'd have to say Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin plays at an MVP level in the replacement game. They came in ahead of time, measured all the windows, make sure they had all of the measurements. When the Pella people left, you had no idea they had been here. You just had the new window. They're great professionals, Gina, and some of the best in the world at what they do.
Right now, pay as low as $19 a month per window or $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today. Pella's team of expert installers start with an in-home consultation and finish with no hassle or mess, leaving nothing but perfect results that stand the test of time. Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, pay as low as $19 per window and $75 per month on patio doors. Visit PellaWI.com today.
$6.99 APR for 120 months. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details, offers end 9/30/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you, the Bill Michaels Show. Boy, we got a lot of little stuff to get to, and I do want to get to some other news and notes. By the way, the Dartmouth coach. Now I don't know if you know him, Buddy T-Vans, but he Eugene. They called him Buddy, but he ended up passing away. He was in a bicycle. I think it was a bike accident, and had some complications coming out of that, and ended up passing away today. So, man, the the Dartmouth football programming reeling a little bit after losing their head coach. Another piece of news, and I don't know if this is part of, let me see if we bring this up in What Did We Miss? Because I want to get into that. So let's start with Grant Bills and What Did We Miss today? What are you thinking?
Just a couple pieces of news. One piece of baseball news. It looks like Shohei Ohtani, he had surgery. He left the team.
Yeah.
And his goal is to be ready for opening day next year as a hitter. So he is either foregoing being a pitcher or he's going to rehab while he hits. I know some people wrote on this and talked about it and said, well, if Shohei really wants to continue being a two-way guy, then he should maybe take next year off. Not going to be the case. He's going to play next year, and his goal is to be ready by opening day to hit for whatever his new team might end up being.
Right. Yeah, boy, you gotta, that's such an incredibly tough decision because he wants to continue to hit and continue to add value, but also, man, you want to make sure that he takes care of the elbow because he's a very dynamic pitcher as well. That guy's got so much money laying on the table right now. It ain't even funny. So,
right.
It's just, it's crazy the amount of money that he could possibly make. And, they always say that when you get this surgery, this Tommy John surgery, that, a lot of times you come back with more snap and more movement and such. And can you only imagine him getting better because of the surgery? I can't, but I mean, my God, between the capability to hit the baseball and be able to throw it as well. It's crazy. So he's just going to basically be a DH next year. And then on top of that, he'll be a pitcher the following year. So, I guess in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to hurt him to swing a bat. At least you wouldn't assume so,
No, it might not be the best thing for him to swing a bat, but I guess the experts, and this is from Ken Rosenthal, saying that he wants to hit through it while he rehabs his arm. So that's a little update on Shohei Ohtani. Still be one of the best hitters
I wish
in
we
the
were
world.
all that versatile,
Right. Seriously, I wish I had that problem. A bit of Saints news. This will matter for the Packers. Marcus May, their starting safety, suspended the next 3 games for performance-enhancing drugs. This is from Greg Auman, our guest yesterday. He led the team with 7 tackles in Monday's win over the Panthers, including a sack, and had 6 tackles and an interception in their opening win over the Titans. He had yet to miss a defensive snap in 2 games. So an important Saints starter going to be unavailable Sunday.
Not there. What else do you have? Anything, or
I have one more thing.
Okay.
This is a quote from Chris Russo, Mad Dog Russo, on First Take this morning.
Oh, geez.
This is him outlining. I'm just going to read this to you. This is his plans for Saturday. Are you ready? I'll get a run in. I'll take the 2 dogs for a walk. At about noon, I'll sit down, make an early cocktail, cut a gummy in half. We get Florida State Clemson. I like Florida State quarterback. Let's do something there. At 3:25, when I'm sauced, I'm not driving anywhere. I'm in the house. I put the call into Fat Rob. I'll put the call into Rob. Rob, you know what the hell? I can't root for Oregon. I pretend on TV. So put 10 dimes on Colorado, which is 10 grand, I believe.
Yeah.
And Dion. Let's play the game. So by 3:25, I'll be sitting down in my boxers with a t-shirt, cocktail, and I'll have the other half of the gummy. I don't know what compelled him to share all that, but I was just wondering, does your Saturday afternoon look anything like that?
Okay. No. But wow. All right.
Just in case you needed to know what was going on in Mad Dog's
the gummy thing I can look past. Okay, whatever, because I think we've all tried it at one point or another. But sitting around in the boxers is the visual I did not need. I just thought I'd throw it out there, and the fact that he's got that kind of cash to just drop the 10 dimes on a game, that's pretty convenient as well. I would imagine he's making a ton between Mad Dog Sports Radio and his podcasts, and now working on ESPN and hanging out on First Take. And he did everything that would say he was taking Molly Queeran with him, but man, okay. Chris Mad Dog Russo getting it done.
That's all I had. Wanted to share that quote with you. I will be cat sitting my girlfriend's cat this weekend, so I probably won't be. And I'm not betting $10,000 cat or no cat. I don't have that.
No, I don't either. Saturday, I'm probably just gonna kind of take it easy. I don't know what I'm gonna do Saturday yet. I can't even go. I know I got dinner on Friday night with some friends. We're going to dinner, but I don't even know what I got going on Saturday yet. One other pieces of news and notes, and this is again goes back to when teams try to control things. A reporter from Southern Cal and the news group was suspended from covering USC football for 2 weeks. They say he violated school policy. You tell me, you've got a couple of freshmen standing near the media, talking, having a conversation, saying that they're nervous about talking in front of the media. They haven't done it a whole lot. And so one of these reporters, the Orange County Register, Luca Evans, is standing there, one of the reporters who they know, And he's talking to them, and they're talking to him, and they're having a conversation, and they're talking about being a little bit afraid to talk to the media and back and forth, blah, blah, blah. So he thought that's a pretty cool piece that these guys, being in a big-time football program are nervous about it. So he wrote about it. Because it wasn't within the media segment of practice, they suspended him. He even got quotes from the players' dads who thought it was pretty cool. It was a harmless story, didn't divulge anything to do with, anything with the game plan or anything like that, just something that they had not done so much in their careers, and he thought it was a kind of a human interest piece, and, but USC claims that he violated the policy that prohibits reporting on anything outside of an actual media availability. So they hammered him for 2 weeks. Fair or not? Now, this is Lincoln Riley throwing his weight around. This is the kind of stuff that Nick Saban does down in Tuscaloosa, where if he reads something that he doesn't feel that you should be reporting on, he'll hammer you and just suspend you. And others have tried that in the past. The Orange County Register says it's a huge overreaction by USC. They could have just merely talked to him and said, hey, it's not a big deal. It's not a bad article, but, hey, let's keep it to inside the media, availability only. And they didn't even appreciate the piece. It was just a piece about two guys being a little bit nervous to talk to the media, but said that they disagree and they are fully behind the reporter. USC says we're not giving an inch. The coach feels that media avails are just for that, media avails, and nothing outside of that. So there you go. Big-time college football. You better obey or they'll kick you out. That's why I think part of that, I don't think you should ever be able to kick out the media unless they're doing something incredibly derogatory to you or your organization. I just think that's garbage. And I think it was a pretty cool story, too. Okay, that'll do it. But speaking of media, this particular media member and my partner over there, Grant Bill, is going to be joining you again tonight, 6 to 8 this evening. It's the Bill Michaels Huddle. We'll be live and in person right back here in the studio. And Mike Clemens is going to join us tonight. We'll talk more about everything that goes on after practice today and from inside the locker room.